Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 288. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, along with Johnny V.
I'm here.
We're here. It is a Tuesday night. It is early season. Disc Golf Pro Tour season. The National Tour is around the corner in just a few weeks. Texas swings, Florida swings, all sorts of things. Wisconsin disc golf, where we're from, is starting to get into the swing
Spring
of things.
opener.
Yeah, all sorts of things going on, so we are super excited to have you guys join us here tonight. Like I said, Tuesday night, we're going to have Dana Vici join us here tonight and have a check-in with him. Obviously, he's been a staple on the show for many years as things were a little calmer throughout the offseason. Dana took a little time to him and his family, and excited to have him back here tonight. And then we will be joined by none other than the highest-rated female in PDGA history. That, of course, your five-time women's world champion in Paige Pierce.
Wow.
Paige, when I reached out to her a little earlier, she said she'd love to join us. And I think she indicated that she's maybe at a campsite or in a camping area and may have some other friends and top-level players that will be around. She doesn't refer to them as top-level players. I
Would
do.
you like to meet my top-level player friends?
Yes. These are other fellow lead card. No. But she said if that's all right, that some of them might be around and may drop in as well. And she didn't think we would mind, and she is spot on.
I don't know if I'm a fan of that.
Any cameos, guest appearances, we don't need that.
We are very strict with how we run this show.
We are.
We do, any sort of lenience and variance really throws us off.
We have no idea which way is up. Hey, the one thing that we've got over our friends at Dynamic Disc is that we have 2 channels of audio today.
What do you say? Huh?
Yeah, exactly. A quick little inside joke. Earlier today, Disc Golf Answer Man, our good friends over there, Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, and Robert McCall were doing their podcast. I'm typically not necessarily in tune with when and what is going on live, and it sounds like they had a piece of equipment, and I'm not picking on them. They rolled with it quite well, but they had a piece of equipment, a hardware issue. And it's particular to me because it meant that audio is only coming in one channel, and it was coming in on the right side, and I was wearing a pair of headphones that were a little bit more directional, so I had to literally switch them around on my head so that I could hear them correctly because I am deaf in my right ear. So all I could hear was noise. I'm not fully deaf, but all I could hear was noise. And then I turned them around, and all I heard was noise.
Didn't really.
But we love our Disc Golf Answer Man
And
friends.
I talk to them a little bit because every once in a while when I hop on that board, I see a bunch of chat messages like, get Johnny V in there to fix it.
No.
Trust me. A, they're beyond help. But B, it seems like it's not like a cable thing. It's right in their streaming device, so it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Like they can unplug it, plug it, and sometimes it comes back and it leaves. I believe we're beyond even my technical capabilities.
Yeah, it sounds like a piece of hardware that unfortunately just needs to be replaced for them. But we are glad we see a lot of crossover, and that's why I think that the reference was valid. See a lot of crossover. Some of the names and the amazing people that are out there on the board right now, I know are some people that also chime in and follow along with those guys throughout their podcasting adventure. So thank you guys again for joining us. Doc had said that I still sound stuffed up. Actually, I'm not. Maybe I'm just not enunciating well. I feel great. I've been on the mend, of course, a little sniffles and this and that. I know I made kind of a funny post last week about not having coronavirus, which I don't have, but I'm feeling really good, and there's a lot of disc golf excitement that was bubbling today specifically, and a lot of heated debates and topics and conversations, and some of that we'll get into. So first, I think we've got our good friend Dynamite. It's been a while, maybe even the intro. Can we see it, Johnny?
I don't know, Terry. I mean, that is a classic intro from one of our good friends, AJ Risley, who doesn't seem to be having a good week, but you know what? Maybe this will cheer him up.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Dynamite, buddy. How are you doing? Are you making up for some of that hair that maybe Zach Melton just got cut off? What's the deal here?
You know, I'm about I don't know, I'm kind of committed at this point, but I'm kind of ready to get rid of the beard.
Good idea. You were saying?
You're not seeing it at its best. I've been up since 5 a.m. It's been looking good for a few hours in the morning, but it just loses that by this point. Thanks for bringing it up. But yeah, you mentioned Zach Melton. I was watching the live stream of the Memorial on the Disc Golf Network, and I said, wow, who's that idiot that Calvin's hanging out with and talking to? I'm like, I don't recognize. I said,
Madison? Well, you didn't recognize her?
No. Well, I was like, Madison was there too, so I was like, this person's got to be an idiot too. No, but it took me a couple takes to realize that it was good friend Zach Melton. He had just gotten rid of the hair up there, but I literally was like, who is that person? Because usually Vinny's got Madison and some another close friend, and it just didn't dawn on me that it was Zach. And yeah, he looks good though, and I think I'm about to follow that same path here and clean my act up.
I think there was even a post last week, just before the Memorial took off. Zach had said that maybe Seppo had offered him $100 to shave his head.
Someone said you'd look the same upside down as right side up, so I'm going to see if that's true. Is that true, chat board? Does he look the same upside down as he does right side up? All right.
Yeah, so I've said it many times. I can appreciate a good beard, and anyone that can grow one out as you have. I love them trimmed up. I think facial hair is great, but I love it when it's nice and trimmed up and really clean cut and professional looking, but yet fully grown in. But
Terry would prefer if you looked like I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Mark McGuire from the 90s. That's what Terry would like.
No, I'm good with the full beard. I like it real trimmed and concise.
So like this is just too long altogether.
That does not do it for me. I'm not your amazing wife that sleeps next to you, but that doesn't do it for me.
I'm good with it, Dana.
Even though it's trimmed and they talk, you hear the pros talking about 1,000 putts a day. I'm talking 1,000 brushes a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, silky smooth. So Dana, this last weekend, dare we call it a weekend off for some. Of course, there's plenty of events going on, some much bigger than others, but no Pro Tour, no National Tour. Therefore, we look to other A tiers or maybe significant B tiers, and this is just kind of a dicey time of year if you're in the Midwest. You could be under a foot of snow, or you could have 65 degrees, but in some of the other states, it sounds like they took real advantage of this last weekend.
Yeah, one state taking advantage. I could barely count how many tournaments they had, how many sanctioned events they had. Of course, I'm talking about Texas. My quick count earlier when I was doing research, I did a few hours of research, before the show. But 10 events. This is ranging from one round C tiers to numerous B tiers, some 2 days, some 1 day, but 10 PDGA sanctioned events in Texas, spanning from Friday through Sunday. So no shortage of golf there.
Okay. And we saw a lot of people, and to kind of frame it up a little bit, of course, a lot of people leaving Arizona, being in California, then probably moving over to Vegas, then into Arizona, and now, making their way, as I kind of opened the show saying, there is definitely a Texas swing. There's always golf in Texas, but there's a full-blown swing of events that's going on right now. So this weekend would be a good way to get into those this last weekend.
And let's start there then. One of the 10 sanctioned PDGA sanctioned events was the 18th annual Crush on the Concho, powered by Prodigy. 220 total players. Thomas Veal was the tournament director. Shout out to Thomas. But in the women's field, they had 4 players and had a couple touring pros in Kona and Katrina. Ultimately, when it all shook out, Katrina ended up on top. She had a couple solid rounds, won one round. Round 2 was 975 rated, which is her current rating. But Kat was able to get the win over Megan Ramirez, who beat Kona by 1 throw, and then Hallie Trevina finished in 4th place. But got to imagine, it's good to see Kat back out there and playing again after a tough putting stretch during the Memorial. Hopefully working out the kinks, getting ready for to get back out on the horse again at WACO. But Kat didn't have to do anything too crazy. She played, she won almost $250. So congratulations to her. Look forward to seeing what she can do over there in WACO. And on the men's side, as I said, 38 total open players. We had a number of them being 1,000 rated. A number of them more than 1010 rated. I think if you were 1,000 rated player, in fact, aside from Kyle Griffin, you were rated over 1010. And 1024 rated Emerson Keith came out firing. Shot a 47 round 1, which was rated 1081. You'd think old Emerson's going to run away with it. He followed it up with a 54 round 2, which was 1019, but a relative unknown, I'd say, outside of the state of Texas, Seth Talbot. This young man, PDJ number 114877, is currently 981 rated. Rounds 1 and 2, he went 1055, 1053, winning the tournament going into the 3rd and final round, beating Emerson Keith, Brian Earhart, Kyle Griffin, Nicholas Roten, which is a name that I'm not all that familiar with, but Nicholas Roten out of San Angelo, Texas, 1015 rated, beating Colton Montgomery, Kevin Jones, Killicam Messerschmidt, Austin Hannum. So stacked field, a lot of really good disc golfers in this. Seth Talbot beating them all. Unfortunately, he was not able to hang on, but he did continue shooting good disc golf. In the 3rd and final round, Emerson Keith beat him by 2 throws, and Seth ended up in 2nd place, 1 throw ahead of Brian Earhart, and Kyle Griffin and Nicholas Roten finished in 4th place. So congratulations to Emerson there. Congratulations to Seth. I'm clicking on his name. He will be in WACO. He's going to be at the Open at Melton, and he'll be at Texas State Disc Golf Championship. So let's see if he's maybe this is his breakout, his time to break out here. His rating just went up 5 points to 986. So he was 981 going into the weekend, bumped up to 986 today. Got a bunch of big events in his home state. Let's see if he can keep this hot hand rolling. And coincidentally, I had just, for work, I was talking to one of our dealers down in Texas, one of our Discmania dealers, and he mentioned Seth's name. He said, keep an eye out for this Seth guy. And then sure enough, this weekend, busts it out with the back-to-back 1050s and then finishing in 2nd place.
Yeah, and as you mentioned with some of the players there, that was not an easy field by any means. You had a lot of really solid players out there. So, a solid play by him, and looking forward to seeing him and how he performs in the next few weeks, because there'll be plenty of press and cameras and eyes on these next few weekends of events over there.
Absolutely. So many. Texas is almost, I don't know, oftentimes I'll see 1,000 rated players who I haven't heard of, and they're generally out of California. And now I'm looking at, I mentioned this Nicholas Roten, I believe. It was 1015 out of Texas. A lot of good disc golfers out there. They got a lot of, and actually Nicholas went up to 1018. So pretty impressive stuff, but it doesn't look like he is signed up for any of the upcoming events. But yeah, a lot of good golfers, and definitely keep an eye out for Seth, see what he can do in his home state with these next upcoming events. What else do we have in Texas? So that was the Crush on the Concho. I believe they had the Red Rock. Lost my link there.
The 22nd annual Red Rock Show, powered by Innova.
There
the
you
one you're
go,
talking
John.
about?
Way to step in. But yeah, that was over in Red Rock, Texas, at Moody's Ranch. 115 total players, 36 in open. We had some touring pros there. Ended up with a couple of touring pros up top. That's Alex Russell, finishing with the victory by a stick over Illinois' Gavin Rathbun. Good to see Alex bounce back. I want to say he kind of had a slow start there out in the desert. I don't think he made the cut at Memorial. Did finish 23rd at Vegas, so he's back to his winning ways there down in Texas. GT Hancock finished in 3rd. Connor O'Reilly finished in 4th. And on the women's side, there was 6 total players. A couple familiar names: Valerie Terry
Manduano.
Thank you. She won by 15 throws over Stephanie Vincent. So some pretty stiff competition. Valerie played above 900 all weekend. Didn't quite get to her rating, which is 951. Stephanie Vincent, as I said, finished in 2nd. Melinda Ring finished in 3rd. And then I do have to give a shout out to my dude, Jay Yeti Redding, for taking down the Masters 40 plus division.
And if I checked a real quick follow up on that, if I recall seeing maybe quickly flipping through the Disc Golf Pro Tour Instagram feed today, did I see that they were also Jay and some others were doing part of a clinic with some schools, probably related to the event this weekend? Is that what I saw? Did you see the same, Dana?
I did. I think that's part of their whole Uplay and Edge partnership.
Awesome. Yep.
But yeah, I saw Yeti leading the way, and man, I love Yeti. Good people, him and Des. Good to see him getting the victory, and then also getting in on the action there at the school. Definitely not his first school he's been in teaching.
No, not at all.
But so yeah, those are just two of the Texas events. There were some other B tiers throughout the country. Up in our area, Terry, Larry LeBond ran the Lumberjack Open. It's a B tier split division over 2 days. Man, I played in that event one time, and it always seems to end up on the time change day. And I went up there, and you lose an hour going to Michigan, and then lose an hour on the time change. That was tough. But Bart Kowaleski ended up getting the win. 22 total open players. Bart went 10-20, 10-28. I think I saw him post that he only missed one putt inside the circle. $555. I'd say that's disc golf rich right there. Edward Ward finished in 2nd. Came out pretty hot, 1030 rated first round, but was not able to follow it up round 2. On the women's side, Amanda Melwicki won in a playoff over Christine Jennings, and Tiger Borth finished in 3rd. So that was up here in the Midwest in Kalamazoo, Michigan, run by Hall of Famer Larry LeBond.
Good old LL Kazoo, as we've affectionately called him throughout the years, runs a lot of great events in the Kalamazoo area, and in addition to running those events, has been kind of one of the main pillars of that disc golf community, along with a lot of other help, but always trying to get more courses in, run a ton of leagues, runs a bunch of the events, and also a vendor and an all-around great player and a great guy. So, yeah, love a little bit of that Lumberjack action over there.
That's right. Have you ever won that one? I know you've done well at Cracked Plastic.
Yeah, I
hilarious.
think I believe with the Lumberjack, it was maybe only one or two of the years that I was able to get over there for that event, and then I always was so focused on playing in the cracked plastic, and I feel like maybe the Lumberjack in the very early years might have used one course and then also used the cracked plastic, or I'm sorry, the Colebrook course, and then when they moved it all away from Colebrook to another course, I was like, it doesn't interest me as much. But he's always run, just really outstanding events, and the cracked plastic event, for instance, for those that some have seen him, he's really good throughout all these years. He's used cracked discs as trophies. He mounts them to a plaque, and it has a little, inscribing on it and says what the division is, but it's always a cracked disc, and hopefully it's an older one. There's some really cool discs that I've seen that have then been mounted on these trophies. And then for Lumberjack, keeping with that theme, they usually have an axe or a saw blade or something incorporated into the trophies there as well. So some very unique trophies that you love to see. And I always seem to see post about it shortly after the event, some of the more unique trophies that come from those events. So great to see.
I do want to jump overseas real quick. They had the Open de España over there in Spain, and 112 total players. Carlos Rio ran the event, winning it. Maxim Tanguy beat Blair Aspergeisen, getting an 8-throw victory there. On the women's side, Mari Vat was able to win by 1 throw over Ada Braga. So congratulations to the winners there. And there's another winner I want to talk about before you guys boot me for another winner, Paige, and that's Brian Schwaber. I don't know if you guys caught his post about his little streak he has going.
He hasn't lost since what, USDGC or something? Is that what he said?
I think USDGC was the last PDGA event that he played in and did not win. That's for those who did not catch that. That's 15 events. 5 in a row, and those span over the Open division and Masters division. And this past weekend, he played in the Camp Durant Classic, run by my good buddy Max Kratz. He came out and played some pretty darn good disc golf. Came out, was not winning after round 1. Found himself 4 throws off the lead from Taylor Rafalowski. And then from there, Schwebe did what Schwebe does and averaged over 10-20 over the final 3 rounds and won by 6 throws over Dan Hastings. So
that guy's pretty good.
He's the king.
All right, Schweb, you can log off now. We just talked about you. We see you in the board.
He's on the board. He gave a woo, so... The check can be mailed to Dynamite. He's the one that brought it up this week.
Yep.
Yep.
All seriousness, though, congrats, Schwebe. That's, of course, we've, in having you not too long ago, but just in talking about his overall impressive career and performances time in and time out, to have any streak of that nature, I don't care what division or divisions you're talking about, very impressive for him to be doing so.
Yep. And if you guys are bored, PDJ number 12989, he's got 677 career events, 270 Ws. So pretty good numbers, I'd say. And I imagine those numbers are going to continue to go up. So fun to watch. Always fun to play with Schwebe or see his name up at the top of the tournament results. And
absolutely. And Dana, will I ask before we let you go, any predictions or thoughts about this upcoming weekend, heading into the next Pro Tour stop? We kind of saw what people were made of or had in their back pocket over the last few events. You got any hot takes or thoughts for this weekend? We move into a very different style of course.
It's a much more wooded course. You have to hit your lines. It seems to be relatively forehand friendly. Macbeth won last year, but I think the previous 2 years, Big Germ had won. It's definitely a finesse course more than the ones that we've just seen.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Dana? Before we let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a place where Nate Perkins has played well. I think Nate, he's been flirting around that 1020 mark. I don't know what he did with the ratings update today, but he's been working his rating up, and he's from Texas, and whatever reason he plays very well at WACO. We actually saw him lose to Big Germ in a playoff when Germ won. I think Germ beat James Conrad in the playoff the other year.
Yes.
So that was the other name that I was going to bring up is James Conrad. Getting him, not that he doesn't excel or play well on any style of course, but that he loves the woods and throws that James Conrad AVR so well. He's got to be excited to be back, in the woods and out of the desert. Let's see what James Conrad, but I was going to pull up to see what his results were at the Memorial, but those are a couple names that I'm going to be following. It's going to be interesting also to see, we saw Vaino Michaela kind of step up and play really well at the Memorial. What European player is going to be up there at the top? Will it be Simon, Bino, or one of the other?
Orvin?
Orvin James is there. Nut Van Holland is also there. We've seen that name flirting up there towards the top. So yeah, and then obviously, one of the hot topics out there on social media is what's his name getting on that feature card?
Oh gosh, don't get me started, Dana.
Yeah, we'll save that for later in the conversation. But the one piece I'll ask on it is, ratings-wise, where he's got the one round in terms of his league play, but where do you put him on the feature card when it's all said and done and it all shakes out? What rated round are you giving him? Brody Smith, feature card, live cameras, everyone else there.
I think he's gonna be in that 950 range.
Okay, fair enough.
And I say that I'm not necessarily. I haven't been following his whole journey very much. I haven't watched any of his videos or any of that stuff, so I'm not too in tune with what his game is looking like. I think he's got some 950 in him, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see a little bit higher. He's out there catching some practice rounds with some of the best players in the sport. He's a great athlete. He's taking it all in and learning, so he might shock some people and pop off a 990. But I'm guessing if I was laying some dough down, he'd be in that 950 range. So 950 to 990 is my where I see him.
Somebody timestamp that. 950 to 990 is Dynamite's take. I like it.
That's a big.
It's a big range.
I think you're going to see that first round. We're going to look at about a 950. I bet you one of the other two rounds he jumps up a little higher. One of the other rounds he jumps down a little lower. I think, but overall, right kind of around that range. So,
okay, to be seen. Disc Golf Network. All right, Dynamite. We appreciate the insights and the recaps that you give us. Looking forward to checking in with you come hopefully next week, and I'm sure we'll have plenty to discuss as we watch everything unfold this weekend on the Disc Golf Network and over in Waco with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Have
yes,
a good night,
sir.
buddy.
And, before I go, I gotta give a big hug. We kind of opened the show, mentioned him, AJ Frisbee, Risley, big hug. Hope's all is well with the car and everything. You the man, AJ. Big hug. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. Thank you so much, Dana.
Bye, Dana.
And with unmatched precision and timing, as we're saying goodbye to Dana, we're hearing Paige Pierce come in on the Skype line.
The Disc Baron Digital Green Room. As soon as she shares her video with us, I think we'll be able to bring her in. I do want to say one thing. We are, for our Twitch viewers.
Yes.
We are at 23 subscribers right now.
Heck yeah, Twitch it out.
2 more, and we get our own another special emote.
Oh my gosh, let's get it.
So if you're an Amazon Prime person, link up your Twitch account. We're gonna get a Dynamite emote. Because I've got a Terry one, I've got a Johnny one. We need a Dynamite.
I think
emote.
I have an Amazon Prime. I could probably go do it.
You could do that. We'll do that after the show.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So the parties rage on Tuesday nights after the after show. You guys, we log into Amazon accounts. We get Twitch going. I'm telling you, it is Twitch lit up in here. Eric Sterner, thank you so much. He says, love the show, and thanks for all you do in disc golf media. Eric, we appreciate the super chat. You guys are welcome to use the super chat function. It's down at the bottom. The little dollar sign will get you going. So it sounds like, looks like we see Paige Pierce, but I don't think we hear her just yet. So she's going to make an adjustment or two on her Skype page, Skype app. Oh, I guess we do hear her.
We do hear you. We do hear
All
you.
right.
Perfect.
Well, then. That's how we test here, folks. Off air, off camera. All right. Well, we will now welcome 5-time Women's World Champ Paige Pierce. How are we doing tonight, Paige?
Good. How about you guys?
Great.
You didn't introduce her as the new reigning PDGA ratings FPO champion?
Paige, I'm sick of buying all your new updated discs. Oh, highest rated.
I know. I'm gonna have to get a new set of discs now to hang up on the wall. And
how's that feel?
It's awesome. It was so cool to see that this morning. I mean, I knew my rating was going to go up, but I wasn't sure, how much or if I was going to break my previous barrier. So to do that and then also go into the 980s, that feels awesome. And it's just I don't have too many more words about it. I'm just so happy about it.
Well, it's been, of course, a great kickoff to the season. You've been mixing a little business with pleasure, and I think you've been doing a lot of that in these last few years, which I think the world and your fans love to see, that you're so much more dimensional than just being the best women's player in the world. But we're 2 events in. You've played in Thailand, obviously taking down the Memorial last weekend or so, or the weekend before. Do you feel like you're ready? You ready? The season's here and you're ready to go?
Yeah, definitely. The season's here. I think, that was kind of the season starts a little bit slow in the sense that there are big A tiers and stuff, but the tour doesn't really kick off until I think the Texas swing. 'Cause after Memorial you have an off week, but after this tournament this weekend in Waco, then it's kind of like tournament for, the better part of the rest of this year almost.
And how do you decide to either fill in or not fill in the non-tour event weekends? Meaning, this last weekend, wasn't Pro Tour or National Tour. Of course, you have Waco, but then the weekend after, technically, it's not a Pro Tour or National Tour. How do you decide when you're going to play and what weekends you do or don't fill in?
Yeah, I think it changes for me every year. Just thinking about which tournaments are important to me, which tournaments I feel fired up to play. And especially this is my now 11th year on tour. So I want to continue to do this. This is what I love. I love competing in disc golf at the highest level. And it's what I'm really passionate about. But I think, in doing so for 11 years, if I continue to play every single tournament that's out there, I will get burnt out. So I've actually been drawing it back a little bit more each year. I think this year I'm only going to play 19 events. I think that's going to be my first year ever under 20 events. So, and next year I think I might only play 15. So just to keep feeling the fire and to not get burnt out, I think that's a necessity for me. And the ones that I'm choosing to answer your question, I think are just the ones that I feel I either love the course or, I don't know, because I'm not playing that many that aren't on the tour. Like you said, between the National Tour and the Pro Tour, that's already 17 events right there. So I'm only playing 2 other ones, and that's Throw Down the Mountain, which is coming up very soon. Mm-hmm. And then I'm playing Canadian Nationals at the end of the year.
Now, there's been chatter today, and maybe you're kind of dipping already into this answer, but there was a lot of chatter today specifically. I think people have either realized or did the math or checked, and saw that you're not registered for the national tour event at the Glassblown Open, an event that you've obviously been to for many years, you've had success at, and it's on the national tour. Is there, do you have a conflict, or why aren't you registered for that one, or unregistered even?
Well, yeah, I actually I was signed up. I got refunded last week, actually.
Okay.
It sounds funny to say, but this is like, I really strive to, like I'm saying, I don't want to get burnt out. I want to keep the fire. I want to keep the tournaments I feel very invested in, and that, when I shoot good there, I'm so excited about. For starters, I think that the courses in Emporia aren't super exciting for me. I love the GBO itself as a tournament. I think it's one of the best tournaments around, hands down, and just the whole tournament experience is unmatched. So nothing against that tournament. To be honest, it was conflicting in schedule on something that I want to do that's like a fun activity. And then when I was sitting there weighing which one I wanted to do, I was like, well, I don't feel like I love the golf. So in my heart, it wasn't something that was pulling me towards GBO. So yeah, I pulled out of that one, and I'm also not playing Delaware. And again, I love that tournament. I think it's a great tournament, and the course itself is actually one of my favorites. Iron Hill is awesome, but it's just, again, a conflicting scheduling. I'm definitely wanting to play the Canadian National Championships again. So
okay, and I don't want to get too personal, but are you in April for that event? The conflict with GBO. Are you getting married?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. Well,
I am.
Then you're doing
actually. It just sounds funny to some people, but for me, music is something that is a huge passion of mine, and something that just brings so much joy into my life. And my two favorite artists are actually co-headlining 3 nights in a row. And I got some tickets for free. Actually, we have gone and seen them quite a few times, and actually kind of communicate with their team, the sound engineer and stuff. And so I went to buy tickets, and at this point, I didn't know that it was conflicting with GBO. I was just like, oh my God, Billy Strings and Marcus King are co-headlining together. I'm buying the tickets. And I went to buy it, and I bought it for the first night. And by the time I went to buy it for the second night and third night, they were already sold out. Wow. But they gave us free tickets, so I can't pass that up. And yeah, also just to take kind of a week off, like I said, before the tour goes into full swing. And I think I'm actually going to be kind of working also that week, so it's not just all fun. Though there will be a lot of fun had, I'm sure, that week at 3 concerts, so I'm very excited. But I think I'm actually looking to buy a house pretty soon.
Wow.
So to kind of
down in Texas, a general area?
Nope. Not
Okay.
Texas. Sorry, all
Florida.
the Texans. I love Texas, but I can't live here. Can't do it. It's just a concrete jungle, and that is not me. That really isn't me. I'll always know and love Texas and call it my home still. But for me, when I'm not on the road and I'm not playing tournaments, I want to have some sort of haven, some place that I go back to in the woods, hopefully with a little creek. And yeah, it's hard to even find trees.
Yeah.
And definitely not mountains or many water sources in Texas. So yeah, I'm not sure yet. So that's also kind of the thought is I need to start looking. And yeah.
All right, so I have to follow that up and ask 3 top prospective states that you would be house hunting in.
Right now, I think the number 1 option is Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
Close to factors when you're a touring disc golfer who wants to continue to do so forever. Close to a good major airport, and somewhere where hopefully you can play a tournament that you can still stay at home. So I think with the Pro Tour Championship moving in North Carolina and Rock Hill being pretty close, I think that'll be nice. And then, like I said, I'm looking for trees, I'm looking for water, I'm looking for mountains and warmth. And Asheville's kind of, I feel like, has been the best option that I've been to out of all those. If you guys have any suggestions, please shoot me a message. Warm, mountains, trees, good disc golf.
Hannah Macbeth is on the board. She's suggesting Virginia. Have you?
Yeah. I need to talk to Hannah this week because I spent some time in West Virginia and I really loved it for all those same reasons. And I think somewhere towards the southeast is where I'm thinking.
Okay. And some good friends of yours in the Oakleys, Eric and Tina, not too long ago made their purchase down in Florida. Yeah. Is that too warm, too south, or no? No mountains in Florida.
It's not. I actually talked to their realtor. I was looking in Pensacola for a little bit, but a little more trees, I think.
Pensacola's pretty flat.
Yeah.
Pretty flat, no mountains. That's even the trees, I mean, they're palm trees. They're not even
I know.
Trees. They're not like your green.
So, speaking of traveling, living quarters, all that stuff, you're coming to us from your RV right now, your van, right?
Yes.
And where are you located? Who you hanging out with? Where are you located right now?
Can I turn the screen around?
Try.
I think you might even have that flip if you're on a phone, you have that flip
no,
a camera
I'm not.
button. Oh, then yeah, you can just turn your laptop around or something. That's fine.
Oh, I can just turn the whole computer. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's kind of dark out here, you guys. It's pretty dark. But can you see out here?
A little bit.
I might just have to give you the verbal rundown. So the WACO tournament is unlike any other in the sense that I got to move back over here because
no worries,
laptop's gonna die. WACO is unlike a lot of other tournaments because it's not like a private course where. Sorry, guys.
Yep, you're good.
I'll stop making you dizzy. It's not like a private course where somebody owns this. This is in the middle of town, and it's called Brazos Park East, and it's used for other things as well. But they don't seem to care that we parking lot camp here at this tournament. So there are about 20 or maybe even 30 touring vehicles that are parked here for the week. And everyone just has their little tables and chairs set up like it's a campground, but it's really just a parking lot. And so we were just hanging out, James and Jordan and Nate and Alyssa and Luke and Eric and Tina. Tina actually just rode off right before this to go play some night golf on her scooter. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, so you're at the course, which, like you said, has a really large parking lot, and that's awesome that there's that availability to be able to park right there, to be right at the course. How much practice, what have your last few days been like? When did you get into town? Are you ready to go? All those boring tournament questions.
Well, this is a little bit different for me. I actually just got into town today, maybe like 3:30 or so. I had an emergency. I can't show you quite yet, but maybe I'll send you a little photo or something after this. My wisdom tooth on the bottom left started to come in, and it started to penetrate the gum line, and it created this little flap. And there's a name for it. I can't pronounce it. Perennial crowning or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, it's pretty common, and the flap being up causes bacteria to go into that flap, and you can't clean it. So my gum is very inflamed and infected right now. And today was the only day I could get into my dentist for an appointment. So I went to the dentist at 9 a.m. and I was in there until like 11:30 or 12. And I got some antibiotics put in there, and then I had to go get some antibiotics and set up an appointment to get the wisdom tooth out, but they couldn't even take it out until the infection goes away. So I took some pain pills that they gave me, and I was kind of like really lethargic until probably about an hour and a half ago. I finally starting to like tell that the medicine's wearing off. It's starting to hurt again. But I guess I could go join Tina and get some night practice in. But anyway, I did not get to practice today. I actually, after I left the dentist, I was in my parked vehicle and a lady backed into me in the parking lot. And so that was another hour or so delay. So today's been a crazy day, but I'm really looking forward to practicing a few times tomorrow. The benefit of sleeping at the course is I can literally wake up with the sun and go play as many rounds as possible tomorrow. So I'm really excited to get out here on the Beast. I grew up, an hour and 20 minutes down the road, and I played here so often, and this course just has so many memories for me. So it's like a sentimental feeling when I get in those woods back there.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, thank you for fighting through this day of yours and to still join us. I appreciate it. I think a lot of people have been like, I can.
I can push Smashbox off another week or two. But
for starters, thank you for that. And then second of all, I was going to say, yeah, you playing this course in the past, having those memories, but also we're now at an event that has just one course. Vegas had 3. Memorial had 2, and now we're, kind of in the norm where it's just one course. Does that, I mean, it looks like it's going to play out really well for you this weekend with your time crunch, but do you like that style better? Do you like multiple courses or kind of the single course that you get to attack over and over?
I mean, I like variety. So
okay.
At the Beast, there is a lot of variety, right? So 9 holes are completely different than the other 9 holes. And even amongst those 9 holes, you got 9 wooded, 9 open. And then even amongst those 9 wooded, you have some short ones, some long ones, some downhill, some uphill, some right turning, some left turning. So I love the variety that this course offers. I think on certain other tournaments where one course may not have much variety, it's nice to see a second course that complements it well. But I think the way this course is set up is perfect for just this one course. And I think that that's kind of what I would prefer, just because you're going to see the pros give their best performance when they've had more practice, right? So, when a pro has had a week and a half off in between events and they only have to practice one course, some of these players are going to have played this course 10 times. Mm-hmm. And I think that sets up better for the viewers as well.
Yeah, and what I think is really great about this course is you really start on I'm not going to call the first couple of holes open, but they're sparsely treed with just a handful of trees, and
feels
then
more
you get
like
in
park golf. Almost.
Yeah, and then you get into the belly of the Beast, so to speak, and you're in some really thick woods for basically 9 straight holes. And then you come out and you have a little bit more openness to deal with, probably some wind, probably some afternoon sunshine. You have all of those things as you close it out, and then a couple of really exciting holes that bring into OB and bring water into play. I always think back to the first year I was at the event, and the first year I think that we saw the Pro Tour there. You had such high accolades for someone like Sarah Hokum, who you had said, I think to almost quote you, you've never seen someone carve lines like the way she did there. We're seeing Sarah and a few others not start until this weekend. Sarah, was very open about saying the Vegas and the Memorial Golf weren't really her style, and here she is. Do you feel like this course sets up for necessarily a four-hander, or is it just set up for who's ever most accurate?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's forehand or backhand dominant, or like advantage goes either way. I think, like you said, whoever's hitting their mark the best. I think disc golf has a really important aspect of like timing. So whoever's timing is the cleanest, I think you're getting off those tees better. And I think, for some of the holes, for some of these later holes, the person with distance has advantage, but also they have the more risk in going OB deep. In the woods, there's a few that turn to the right where you might think Hokum would have the advantage on the hole, but some of them, the Anheuser is going to be better. And so I wouldn't say that any specific type of player has an advantage. I think it's just whoever can keep their timing on and just keep a clean round going. I think there's a lot of danger out here, whether it's in the woods and off the fairway, or whether it's on these open holes and in the water. So there's lots of danger out here. What do you think, Tina?
Hi.
Hey,
Tina.
How's it going?
Good. Are you, what'd you shoot during your glow round out there?
Did you tell them? All aces.
Oh, it's wet.
100%
out there?
aces.
Nobody can deny that. Oh.
It's wet.
Okay, a little bit wet out on the course. All right. Did you just play the open holes, or did you go out to the wooded section?
Not the wooded section. I just took a scooter, went and putted, and then threw a couple putters.
Awesome. And are you competing this weekend?
I am.
Awesome. You ready to go? You ready for it?
I'd like to say that I am. I was going to play today, but that didn't quite happen.
Yeah, she had some crazy stuff happen today, too, actually.
So it wasn't me.
Well, I know, but
I rescued AJ today.
Ah.
Homie.
Yeah, we saw the picture of the Prius on the side of the road, and
I've been there in that same Prius. Well,
poor guy.
Tina, I will quickly sidetrack and ask, what is it about an event or a course that makes you decide, I'm focused on playing this weekend, as opposed to, hey, I'm focused on some other media tasks or something else? What is the deciding factor for you?
Nowadays, the course, like, if I absolutely love the course, I will play it, and WACO is one of my absolute favorite courses. And this event in general, I just love this place.
Mm-hmm.
It's run really well. We get to hang out together in the parking lot all day, and like it's just so much fun. But realistically, it comes down to the course and whether or not I'm like good. I really don't have a reason to play like San Francisco. It's so big and I don't throw very far, so I really do decide on my tournaments based on
that's what he was just saying
good for
about
my game at all.
Sarah too. That Sarah's decided not to play Memorial and Vegas, but she chose to start here because she likes the course and stuff.
Yeah.
Any crazy tour plans that we should know about out of you for this year, Tina?
This year's a little different for me. As you may know, Erica Stinchcomb is like on tour this year, and she is helping me tremendously with whale sack stuff. So for about 2 months during the West Coast swing, and I think Worlds too, I'm kind of passing off the business to her for like the management part of stuff, so I can completely focus on disc golf. I have never done that. I've always been trying to run whale sacks and play disc golf, and I've never really given myself a chance. So I'm excited to see if maybe the extra focus can help me actually play good on the course and feel good about my game. So trying a little different this year and giving disc golf a go.
So when you wake up this morning and we see Paiges yet again, set a new record for highest rating from a woman, are you like, all right, you've got a new rating, I need yet another new set of tips? Is there anything that, any specific instruction or help that she's given you?
I've learned a lot just from watching her. I've gotten to caddy for Paige plenty of times, and I think shot selection and maybe just confidence in general. Watching her behind the scenes and hearing her like, I'm gonna park this, and just like hearing that kind of stuff like behind the scenes is kind of like I get that same mentality now, and it just kind of happened from.
I mean, it's like the same like. Even if whoever's watching, or even you, Terry and Johnny, like when you guys are playing anything else, board games or darts or pool or whatever, like everybody has that competitive, like, oh, I'm going to make this ball in, or, oh, I'm going to get a bullseye, or, I'm going to roll a 12, whatever it is, like you have to, Catan, you have to believe it, or it's not just going to magically happen. Like you have to will it into existence and manifest it. And so I think that that's a huge part of disc golf that I see some people struggle with sometimes. So I think I don't know. I think it's nice to just kind of like remind yourself of that sometimes too. Like even if you miss 5 putts in a row, like you can still miss that or make that 6th if you just like tell yourself like you want to and you're going to.
So that maybe is a good follow-up to ask, do you feel like when any disc golfer at these top levels when they fail or don't succeed at something, do you feel it's usually mental, that they've just talked themselves out of it, or they didn't have the confidence in executing a shot? Or do you feel like there's maybe frequently something else?
I wouldn't say usually. I think it's hard to like lump everything together, but I think, yeah.
I would say sometimes. I mean, it's coming from someone that's been injured a lot, and AJ and I just talked about injuries like our whole 3-hour drive home. So, you know, a lot of it has to do with what your body's willing to do, and sometimes it's not willing to do what you want it to do. GBO last year, I had some putting stuff that was not mental at all. I could not hit the basket, but my brain was totally there. My body was just missing completely. Like my hip would pop out and I just missed the basket. And there was like nothing mentally that I was doing wrong, I don't think. And I mean, that's not going to happen all the time. I think for new and up and coming players, it's a lot more mental. There's a huge mental barrier to get past before you become really good and great.
Okay. It is interesting because we see the players that have such great skill sets. You think of someone that, you know, this forehand is just as good as this guy's forehand, and you know, they're making roughly the same amount of putts, but then you think about, well, who's winning and who's just performing well. And then somewhere there's a confidence that's, I think, you know, deep within that people can pull from or rely on. And I think that's why a lot of our winners, dare I say, I feel like we see a lot of similar winners week in and week out. They're pulling in something special, confidence or otherwise.
Thing I've talked about a lot, and I don't know if I've talked about it to you, so sorry if this is repetitive, but I think that, like Paul Macbeth, for example, it's something that I hear so often. Tell me if you agree on this. That, oh, what did Paul shoot? Is Paul there? Oh, you know, it's always like about Paul, and the MPO players in this example are always constantly comparing themselves to Paul and giving him all this credit, which
prestige, credit,
he
confidence.
Deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. But they don't need to feed that, you know, because every weekend's a new start, and you know, he's beatable. It's really hard to beat him, but if they keep giving him all this credit and like, and it's out loud too. It's not just like this thought in their head. They're talking about it all across this parking lot. You know, they're scared and they're not being confident in themselves. So I think that, you know, that is a hindrance of your own game. If you need to talk yourself up in that way, even if it's not maybe true, maybe you aren't 1061 rated, only one person is, but talk yourself up to, you know, get yourself hyped.
Yeah, like a self, you know, it's almost like they've almost been self-defeated before they've even started, thinking, well, Paul's going to do this. And it's like, first of all, you can't ever worry about what someone else is going to do, no matter what. They could have the best round of their life or the worst round. But second of all, you have to think, hey, I'm going to hit all of my lines and I'm going to make all of my putts, you know, and I'm going to make all my scrambles. Like, you have to start with that.
Hannah brings up a point on the board saying the FPO does the same with you. You know, when you are at an event.
Well, everyone talks about me.
Well, also, I don't hear that part, you know.
Yeah, but you got it's fair to say, let's just say someone comes off the course and they're a 3 under and they're a solid player. The next question is, okay, well, what did Paige shoot? Is Paige in yet? Well, Paige isn't in yet, you know, and so that's where people are always, you know, you've clearly set a bar, as has Paul. You've set a bar, and people can gauge their performance probably on what you've done, because if they come in with a 3 under and then the very next best round is you with 13, everyone's like, all right, well, that was fun for a moment, you know?
And maybe that will happen, but I guess my point is that don't do that before the tournament, at least. Right. Before even one shot's been thrown. Mm-hmm. If not don't do that, but if you do that, keep in mind you're giving that player you're talking about way more control.
I like it. I agree.
All of us agree. So I want to touch on two things with you yet, Paige. The first is you're doing a new video project with Gatekeeper. They are supplying GK Pro.
Yes,
GK Pro.
Sorry.
Come on. Sorry,
GK Pro.
GK Pro and Gatekeeper. I apologize to both of you. So with GK Pro, they're giving you more or less just your shots, and you are commentating over them. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So clarification, I am buying these.
Okay.
And they're pretty expensive. Maybe why you are hearing me talk about my Patreon a lot more often these days. But no, the point is I think they're valuable for me, so I don't mind paying for them. But I also think they're valuable for just like, I get so many questions about, well, what do you do when you have a bad hole and this and this and this? And so a lot of mental game questions. And I think that, what were you thinking when that was happening? And so Alyssa gave me this idea actually, like, hey, I saw that GK Pro is filming all the women's rounds. Like, why don't you talk to them? They're already going to be editing your coverage. Like, just try to buy your shots from them. And it was that simple. I asked them and they said, wow, this seems like a great idea. We would love to do it. Wouldn't add that much to our workload. I think we could handle it. Let's see how it goes. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback about it so far, and a lot of really constructive feedback where I think this week at WACO is going to be quite a bit better and a little bit different on the format of it. So just trying to make it better, but keep it to like be a learning tool for myself to kind of like watch this tape back and see it from outside of my body and like watch these shots, did I take a lot of time on that? Because sometimes it's hard to even tell when you're in those moments. So it's good for me to study, but I think it's also, hopefully it's insightful for the people that are watching it and are curious about, what I'm thinking about when I'm choosing the disc, or after I just 3-putted, or after I threw my favorite disc in the water. So I think that these are hopefully useful. And I just want to give a huge shout out to GK Pro for the footage, and then to my Patreons for helping me fund this project. And, I'm excited to do it again this week at WACO. I think it's going to be a lot better too, because in this tournament, like we talked about, there's woods and there's lines. And so I can actually talk about, okay, this is why I chose this line over that. It looks like it might be a sidearm, but really, so stuff like that goes into a lot of these more technical courses like the Beast is.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes, it's like a continuation of the great series that you started about this time last year when you started out with doing Nice Line, which I'm assuming we're going to see a few more of, but kind of the same idea. You're getting really inside the mind of why did someone, and in this case it's yourself, but why did someone execute or attempt this shot versus that shot, and just try to help it become a learning tool for some others that are watching thinking, well, why in the world did they throw this disc in that way? And
right.
you're really just breaking that down for everyone. And I agree. I think it's a great learning tool.
We don't hear about a lot of pros actually studying their own film.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure it happens, and we see a lot of commentators will talk about players, whether they're on the card or not. But I personally don't hear about a lot of players going back and really watching almost an entire round of themselves to kind of just get back in that mindset.
Yeah, I think, I was going to say a lot of, it might not be like, oh, I'm going to go study my tape. You know what I mean? But again, like I'm saying, like everybody gets together and they talk about how good Paul is. They also all get together and watch disc golf coverage. A couple weeks ago, I dropped Tina off with Eric in Vegas.
Yeah.
And it was AJ, Calvin, Eric,
Erica, Madison,
and they were all in a room just watching the coverage. And this is very common. That's like a specific example, but more often than not, if a disc golfer around us has the TV on, it's watching coverage and talking about the shots. And it's kind of like in a casual setting, you got your shoes off, kicked up on the couch, and it doesn't seem like they're studying, but they totally are. They're studying each other's forms. They are talking about like the footwork and all of that.
If
so
they're gonna try those shots this year, like, oh, I'm gonna
they'll actually that's a good point. They'll before a tournament, and especially Luke Humphreys is a good example because last year was his first year on tour, and he would binge watch the past year's coverage of that tournament to try to, like, before he even gets to the course, okay, I know that the good line on this one is a hyzer. I saw Kevin Jones do it. You know what I mean? So I think they actually do a lot more than you would think as far as like studying the footage. So
that's good to hear.
All these media companies are seriously helping not only the viewers to watch more golf, but the pros to kind of have something to use.
Yeah, and I forget which, it might have been on some FPO coverage in the last week or two, same idea. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I did commentary with Nick Newton regarding Maricopa just a couple days ago, and he, too, was like, oh, they did this first round. He wasn't on that card. He's like, oh, so-and-so took that route on that shot. I never even thought of that. That's something I'll do next year, or I'll at least take a look at, whether or not he executes it. So I know exactly to what you're saying because Nick just said the exact same thing the other day. So,
and the other thing I want to talk to you about real quick is your putting. At Memorial, I think you were second in Circle 2 and third in Circle 1. Your putting looked really good. How much do you chalk that up to the Fierce?
I think the biggest difference in flight for me between that and the Deputy, I don't think you guys have even seen yet on video, because the biggest difference for me, I'm going to try to do some gestures here. Hopefully it translates on video. The biggest difference for me is last year when I'm putting with the Deputy on an obstructed putt. So say I'm in a straddle stance and I have to go anhyzer around the tree. I would have to aim it left of the basket and know that the Deputy was going to continuously turn into the chains. And with the Fierce, if I'm in that same stance and I have the same putt and I aim left of the basket, it is going to hold the angle I put on it, but it's going to carry straight. So I miss left a lot right at the beginning when I was switching, because I'm like, man, it's not turning. And I'm like, it's not the same putter. Stop putting it like a Deputy. Stop. And so I just started aiming it at the chains, and I'm making a lot more putts like that. It's more direct and kind of takes the guessing out of those obstructed putts. Luckily, I putted with the Deputy for such a long time. I got to know him, and I knew that turn it was going to put on it. But I think with the Fierce being more point and shoot, it's allowed the learning curve to be a lot quicker. And that was example is for obstructed putts, but it kind of translates into every putt. It's just so dead straight where you put it. So if you show a little bit of hyzer angle, it's going to carry that hyzer. If you show a little anti angle, it's going to hold that. And I think the Circle 2 aspect that you're talking about is just because it has a little bit more glide even than the Deputy, which already had a lot of glide. So I'm putting the same style, and everything's feeling the same, but it's just staying up in the air just a tiny bit longer. So it's been a really smooth transition, and I think most of it is in the actual flight, or I don't even want to say most. I would say 50% is the actual disc, 50% is just the way I feel about disc and the confidence that I have with it.
Well, and regardless of putter, I think one of my favorite putts I've ever watched you make was 2 years ago at WACO. What is that? What hole is that? The wooded downhill hole that's kind of a gimme, not quite gimme birdie. And you fell forward, completely lunged forward, and then you made it. Yeah, I think both Bobby and I and Live and everybody had some angle on that, and I think that was one of my favorite putts I've ever seen you make. It was very impressive. Good putting is good putting at the end of the day, too. Anything that's well, I'll backtrack a little bit and ask, what's kind of the vibe like? I know you said there's a lot of the golfers hanging out, and you today were a little
preoccupied.
Preoccupied. But what's kind of the vibe in that area? I know there's usually a big bridge party that's taking place, but yeah, there's a lot of people talking about coronavirus and just things that are getting either canceled or lightened or reduced. What's kind of the vibe going on in Waco right now?
Well, like I said, I just got here, so I'm not positive about the vibe as far as like the coronavirus. I do know there was supposedly somebody found in Dallas, and I don't actually watch the news at all whatsoever, but being at my parents' house for 3 days, they had it on constantly. And that's all I heard about, and it's actually kind of wearing me out. I think.
Okay, no, I didn't just mean.
But also, I think it's something that people need to hear, so I'm okay with saying these things. I think Paige Pierce's perspective, I know this might be...
hot take. Let me get the quotes out.
I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that we need, as a society, as a whole, we need to stop letting fear control us. There's so many things that can kill us every day. We get in a moving vehicle, we drive 40,000 miles a year, going 70 miles an hour down the freeway. People cut me off left and right. I have near accidents daily, but I don't stop driving, And I just think I know this is a very serious topic, but it's like, you can't just stop living. You can't stop living. Just
wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands, people.
Don't
Come on now.
put your fingers in the mouth all the time.
And Terry, like, better than most. Like, we both just came back from Asia, and everyone's talking about, oh my God, you were in Asia? Are you okay? Oh, be careful. My parents were like emailing me and trying to call me and like, are you okay? And it's like, yes, I'm doing good. I'm doing great. There's also rattlesnakes on every hike I ever go on, and there's bears in the woods, and I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be okay.
I agree, and I agree with everything you've said. I think a little, common sense, precaution, and that's not even just related to the virus. That's just
life in general.
Daily living. I totally agree with that. So, and I didn't mean to necessarily take it just coronavirus wise. I just meant the vibe in Waco, kind of generally speaking, and maybe Tina knows or has a sense on that.
Yeah, missing out.
I think I just was sensitive to that because it's
I hear you.
I really want to just like preach at people. It feels like preach, girl. Come on now, Mom. She's always telling me, be careful. I'm being careful.
That's
anyway,
the motherly duty. That we get. Yes.
But I mean, honestly, just pulling into the course, it felt like, whoa, everybody's here. There's like, it felt really cool. And I know we just had that experience at the memorial for the first time, but, like I said, everyone's in this one parking lot. And so you're just driving by, and the way that the course sits, on this main road, when you're driving you exit the highway and you drive towards this parking lot, you pass by like 5 or 6 of the holes, and they're visible. So you can, from your car, you can see like, oh, there's Kevin Jones throwing, oh, Yuli, oh, so it's really cool. Like, even as, I'm friends with them, it's not like I'm like fangirling or whatever, but it's just cool to just look over and see like the whole disc golf community right here.
And if you go to Torchy's, pretty much everyone's at Torchy's all the time. So
yeah. Oh, and the Magnolia Fest is happening, right?
Yeah, it's usually this weekend.
Yeah, I saw some tents out when I drove through.
Okay.
If you guys watch Joanna and Chip, you guys know that one?
Oh yeah.
Home Flippers or something.
What's it called? I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, there's
it's
like
on
the Country Home Flippers or something.
Yeah, somebody just told me they had yet another kid. I think they're up to like 5. I don't know how they do it. I mean, they're flipping houses every other week and then have like 4 or 5 kids.
I know. It's not like they have like this huge crew behind them that you don't see as much of because it's TV.
Still, very impressive.
Yeah, they have a festival this weekend, and it's on the same road as us, like a mile down the road. So Waco as a city is kind of popping right now.
That's great.
Yeah, plenty of things going on, keeping people preoccupied. Well, not preoccupied, but just the alternatives. You know, some people say, hey, I want to go to a tournament. I'd love the disc golf, but I'd also like to take in the local community and the culture and other things going on. And I think that's one of the beautiful things. I think about Portland in a few months. I think about all of our events that are almost coinciding with other really big local events going on. And that's awesome to see.
One's super cool because it's always the same week as South by Southwest, and it's only about an hour and 15 minutes down the road. So
Not
usually in past years, we've
Yeah, they
gone
canceled it.
after rounds, like our round ends, and we'll drive down to Austin and catch some shows and drive back. And last year we saw quite a few shows.
Wait.
And the year before, yeah, we saw like a 1 a.m. show one of the years. And you know, the biggest music festival in the world is like an hour down the street, and all the disc golfers love going to shows. So wow, what was that?
One of those bears you were talking about. I don't know how many bears are down there.
The Brazos Bears.
The Brazos Bears.
It
Oh,
sounded
what
like a
the-
bike wreck.
I
like
thought
a
it might be my
bicycle.
scooter, but my scooter's still chilling.
Huh.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, it's a bummer that got canceled or
Mhm.
lightened, like you said.
Yeah.
But if people are looking for a really fun tournament to come to, this one's like, what is happening?
I have no idea.
I'm going to guess that maybe some of your cohorts are messing with you at this point.
Wouldn't be
It
surprised.
could be.
And then also one of the changes, and I don't know all of the details. I put a call out to Ryan Draper himself, and I'm just kind of trying to catch up. But we're also seeing a change in title sponsorship this year, which is certainly not something that we're used to seeing. I mean, the 2 or 3 years I've been involved, which isn't long, with the WACO event on the Pro Tour, Dynamic has been the title sponsor. And did I hear are there new baskets on the course, and Prodigies are title sponsor? Is that what we saw? Or
Yeah,
you
the
saw?
new Prodigy baskets.
Okay.
They're blue. They're pretty, and they catch really well.
Couldn't ask for much more then.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Prodigy's older version of that basket, I was not a big fan of, but these ones are pretty solid. You still can't hit left side too much, but if you're hitting anywhere else, it's pretty okay. So I don't mind them.
Do you guys either of you have any media or sponsorship or any kind of obligations tomorrow? Or I know, Paige, you talked about going out and playing and practicing, of course, but is there anything else? I think of clinics and demos, that type of stuff. Are either of you locked into those tomorrow at all?
They're doing like all day press conference. I'm not sure exactly how that's going down, but
Okay.
they have us blocked in like every 15 minutes. A new one of us kind of hops over to this press conference. I'm not sure if it's like live or if they're editing it for the Disc Golf Network or what. But yeah, I think all day long they're getting interviews from players.
Yeah, a lot of those interviews will probably be cut into the live broadcast thanks to Mo doing a bunch of that work. And then they talked about live streaming it, but I think that's going to be put on the back burner, at least for this event. And more than likely, they'll take those interviews and then put them in their entirety onto the Disc Golf Network app.
Nice. Cool.
Okay. Makes sense.
Other than that, I'm doing this. All right. Hello.
It's probably not looking at us.
It might.
Hey, night Smashbox with Tina.
Paige,
Money
you are
Terry.
easily one of our most frequented guests. Just like how many times you've won the Memorial. There's no way I could keep track. But
7. She won the Memorial seven times.
7.
It's 7.
Okay.
Somebody messaged
Somebody
us.
did the math for
Somebody
us?
did the math and said it is 7 times.
All right,
Yeah,
Paige,
that's
remember
tough.
that for next year, please.
guys, I'm starting. Oh, do you want to say hi one time?
Come here, Smashy.
I'm starting a vlog. Not really starting one, but I'm gonna try one and see how I like it. So
Hey,
you guys are
Mr.
gonna be on
Oakley.
it.
Hi, Eric.
Hi.
Gang's all here.
Eric, give us your best TV face. Okay.
He
Perfect.
did legit earlier at Torches. I was like, Eric, your TV facing.
Yep. It's good.
You just love.
Depends what's on.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just zone out.
Sports stuff is like it just, I just can't handle it. It doesn't even matter the sport. It can be NASCAR, it could be basketball, you name it. It doesn't. I'm just
It could
glued.
be a person.
Talking about sports.
That's a pretty good one. That was very good.
I'm quite used to it.
I'm not gonna lie, it's one of my favorite posts that I see from Tina is when then she puts those up and I see him in an Instagram story.
Put me on Instagram.
And then it just slowly zooms in.
Every time she gets me.
And then it goes,
Eric, you ready to go for this weekend? You've got such a great backhand and forehand. You ready to go to attack this course? Very different from the last 5 courses you've played.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. The course feels a little bit, as Tina mentioned, like it hasn't bloomed yet. So I feel like some of the gaps are a little bit bigger than they used to be, even if it's a couple inches here. But you can really notice on these tight lines. But I'm just gonna throw the disc as best I can and let the rest happen. So I'm excited.
All right, that sounds like a pretty solid game plan. Throw the disc the best you
Clever.
can.
As best as you can.
Throw it good.
I don't know. Somebody on the board, now it might have been one of your aliases, but somebody on the board picked you to win earlier tonight. I'll see if I can find that login, but
One of
we
your
just bought a house. We
aliases.
need some money.
You just got on the board and we're like, I'm gonna win.
How is the Airbnb coming? I don't know if we've checked in now that the season's starting. Do you guys is it filling up or not able to, or what's going on with it?
We're still working on it. We have to get our concrete redone first, which I'm doing in a week and a half. I'm going to go home for 2 weeks and get that stuff squared away. And then we're planning on just having like friends and family and fellow disc golfers
for
we
the
know.
first year, just kind of
Do a
put it
little
to
test
people.
run.
So then they can also tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. And from there, then we can really start opening it up to being fully rented out, which would be sweet.
right. I haven't been in a ton of Airbnbs, but my favorite thing at them is when they have some form of a lightweight or basic binder that just gives you like the true expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the one I had in Arizona for many years. It didn't say to like strip the beds or wash the dishes or whatever. And I remember reaching out to her and she's like, no, you don't have to do that. That's all part of your cleaning fee that you have to pay. And I was like, okay, I just wish you would say it one way or another because a lot of them do want you to do that. So I always like to think of the things that where one might ask you to do it and the other might not. Just spell it out and say, hey, don't worry about taking out the trash or don't worry about doing the dishes or, do worry. Here's my tip.
I can't expect you to when they charge you so much for a cleaning
I completely
fee.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it all depends. Do you want them to take out the garbage, or not? Do you want them? Where do the recyclables go? Is there recycling? Spell those things out.
Great. It sounds like you're looking to
Tips from
come
Terry.
stay at our house and give us some
feedback. Can you go to Florida?
details.
Seems like the weirdest offer I've had in a while, but I'll probably take you up on it.
I personally like the ones where they leave you little snacks and little like drinkies. That's how you win me over.
Snacks and drinkies.
Snacks and drinkies.
I'm a big fan of having. This is going sideways quick.
Wow. Well,
No.
as if a Smashbox interview has ever gone not sideways but forward.
I will just say I'm a huge fan of the basic essentials being available, as in have some dishwasher soap and have some laundry detergent. Like, I feel like a lot of them are like, oh, no, you got to go out and buy. It's like, that's what you get at a hotel.
Especially, even more so for me because I don't have a sink or neither of us have a washer and dryer. But like when we get an Airbnb, we're treating ourselves, and
We're gonna do our dishes in that house.
Sometimes I literally make the decision on, okay, I have a bunch of dirty dishes and I could go for some laundry. Let's get an Airbnb, and then you get in there and they don't have laundry soap, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go buy laundry detergent.
Yeah,
and then you're just going to leave it
with
there.
them.
You're just going to leave it there.
All right, guys.
Yeah, preach.
Well, I do also as a traveler, not clearly to the extent you guys are, but whether it's occasionally an Airbnb or a hotel extended stay, those all factor into some of my traveling components on a given weekend. So I know exactly how you guys feel. And I will put up the offer that I always do. Like this weekend, for instance, my hotel won't be jam-packed. So if there's a traveling golfer that needs to do dishes or needs a shower or whatever, like those are things that I've I've offered up in the past. As
Careful,
creepy as
Terry.
that can
I'll
sound.
tell all my friends
Careful.
here.
Yeah.
We got a whole posse of unshowered people in this parking lot.
Hey, I showered today.
All right. Anyway, we are ready to go. You guys, everybody ready for the weekend then?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, pretty excited.
All
But
right.
none of us
anything for
really
us?
remembered that it started on Thursday, so I feel like
Oh.
we're all a little bit behind.
Real quick.
I was just telling Johnny that story that early on in the season, and maybe you guys were part of this, early on at some point, they had the dates incorrectly listed. They had it the 13th through the 15th. I bought a plane ticket. I booked car rental. I booked hotel, all based on those dates until I had to reconfirm a few weeks ago when I saw that it wasn't those dates. And so, and I confirmed with someone, I wasn't crazy. They did have them incorrectly listed at one point. So if you guys were thrown off, that might be why.
Blame that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, he called Eric and yelled at him. Why didn't you tell me it started on Thursday?
Who did? Who called and yelled at you?
Eagle.
Ah.
Because he was going to go to Spain, and then he was going to come back, and then he realized he was only going to have one practice day, and for a pro tour, like obviously he wants to go to Spain, he wants to support that disc golf community, and he wants to see his friends, he wants to do all that stuff, but professionally and what it would do to him mentally and physically, it just didn't make sense. Especially if he was playing this pro tour. If he wasn't playing WACO, then yeah, no brainer, go to Spain.
Right.
I think we might all agree that Spain kind of trumps Waco, Texas.
I like it here.
And it's hard to argue that, but Waco is pretty sweet, but it's hard to beat Spain.
I guess that was.
Well, I do appreciate that because I will be the first to admit that some people, we kind of glossed over it, that I knew Eagle was scheduled to go to Spain. In fact, there was a conversation about me possibly doing some coverage as well. And then all of a sudden he wasn't on the list and he didn't go. And we never got around to really getting the story. So thanks, Eric.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Gosh.
In the field reporter, Eric
Yeah.
Oakley.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just need a ticker along the bottom.
The Eric tickler. Okay. All right, guys.
Whoa.
We're going to call it.
Eric.
I don't know.
Do not take him up on the shower offer, Eric. I'm just saying.
All right. We have an odd number of guests over there. So, final question: yay or nay on this shirt for me?
Yay.
Yeah.
I like it better than Johnny V's.
Okay.
It's like a flat. Mine's like a flat blue.
So basic.
It's literally like office shirt. It's like
That
hey,
wasn't the
I'm
question.
going into the office.
Yay or
That's
nay?
fine.
Tina, yes or no? No.
Staple.
I like it. It's got some sass.
I don't know that I do, but all right, you get that. Sounds like a vote.
A little twirl for us.
What's that?
Stand up into a little twirl. Oh my God, am I gonna get him to do
You're
it?
gonna get under do it.
No.
Come on, Terry.
No. All right. All right, fine.
Paige,
He thought
Here we
about
go.
it.
Oh,
he's
wow,
going-
he's gonna do it.
I can't really stand
Gotta
up.
do
You
it.
can.
Work it, girl.
Oh,
yeah,
God,
Terry.
no.
Yeah, okay, it's a good shirt. It's a
Yes.
good. Yep.
If it makes you feel
Okay.
You
All right,
broke the
I
internet.
broke
You broke Skype.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. We can.
Whoa.
Uh,
Yeah, worst.
I break the internet.
Terry broke Skype. Way to go.
All right, guys. Now I'm all flustered. We're gonna get going. I'll see you guys in like 20 some hours. I'll come join the van party.
We'll see you
Yep,
soon.
can't wait.
It'll
Bye,
be a
guys.
fun night.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Wow, Terry Miller.
All
That
right.
went places I really don't ever want it to go.
This stream now demonetized.
Yes, I believe it is. We lost all of our subs.
I know. Almost 300 of you guys. All right. Well, as always, the most important takeaway there is we learned so much more, most of which isn't even about disc golf.
Oh,
we learned
no,
from the
it's-
crew.
Somebody was asking again. It's usually a monthly question, like, "Oh, hey, I'm new to disc golf. I've been playing for a month or so. What podcasts can I listen to?" And I usually chime in and I say, "Well, what type of content are you looking for?" I said, "If you're a stats nerd, On the Box, go with Dixon. He's great at that. If you kind of want your typical talking head kind of stuff, you've got the Upshot or PDGA." I said, "If you want the players, if you want the inside knowledge on the players, you come to Smashbox.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, You know, I mean, we do a lot, but that is definitely what our forte is, getting behind the scenes, getting to know the players better than anybody. You won't get this type of interview anywhere else, for better or worse.
Yes, I was just going to say.
I'm just saying, you won't get it anywhere else.
And even some real info about the happenings of Eagle McMahon and last weekend's trip to Spain. I know Dana was talking about it, and it crossed my mind thinking, yeah, Eagle was supposed to go to that, and I never really got the scoop. So you got his good friend Eric giving us the explanation. And I think I just saw that Simon Lizotte today was also taking off from Boston to, I don't know if he was in Colorado or if he made it back over there. Not Colorado, sorry. Yeah, Boston or Colorado. I think he got back to Boston and then was traveling. And I think about his travel woes. Was it last year?
2 years
ago. 2 years ago was the car accident.
Yeah, he got stuck in traffic.
But then also, I think it was one of the years. Yeah, he also got there really late due to some weather conditions.
Yes.
He also that might have been 2 years ago as well. So
could be.
All right, guys. Well, does that conclude our normal show?
No. We need to talk about a few more things.
All right.
We're gonna start with a little bit of down news, actually. For many of you that know Matt Oram, he is a touring pro. His father, Jim Oram, who Terry and I met back in like 98, 97, at the time ran Sky South.
Yep.
He was one of the first people we kind of met on our disc golf trip. And unfortunately, Jim lost his battle to liver cancer this morning, I believe is what it was. He was put in hospice a couple days ago. There is a GoFundMe out there. I will put it in the show notes, hopefully. So if you're interested in donating to Jim or to Matt to help cover whatever costs they have, Jim was one of the founders, I believe, of the Southern Nationals. It was some of his idea. He was a force in the South for a long time, and he will be dearly missed in the community. So send your good wishes out to Matt and the family, and just give the Orams a little bit of your thoughts.
Yeah, I know we've seen good friend Greg Barsby and Nico and a number of others have reached out and made some posts and some other kind and thoughtful words. I'll echo everything Johnny said and then some. Just that, of course, our thoughts and prayers to their family and a man that had such a positive influence and was such a staple down there in Mobile and down in Alabama and that entire region. So, and I hate to sound. I don't want to seem insensitive when I say also I saw on my Facebook feed a gentleman. I believe the name was Jim, and I'll be the first to admit I don't know him, but there was a post in the last day or so about a gentleman that also had passed away whose name was Jim, I believe on the somewhere out in the West Coast. And I saw a lot of posts about it, so clearly he was an influential person that a lot of people knew about as well, and not someone I was familiar with, but it sounds like it was a heavily looked upon person in the disc golf community. So
I actually got one of my very first disc golf bags from Sky South from Jim Oram when we were down there. I remember going into I think it was his house at the time, and this is clearly, I believe, before Maddie was even born. No, maybe he was really little at the time because this was 22 years. Yeah, Matt's probably older than 20.
Yeah, he's
so. And walking around that, and this at the time thinking like, oh my God, look at all the stuff and frisbees he has, like all this classic stuff. And I bought a very small one of the like almost the satchel bags from Jim Oram at Sky South. So it's a long time, definitely a long time. So the other thing I want to talk about real quick is we touched on it with Paige, actually, the coronavirus. I got word today from Jeff Spring that they spent, a couple $100, $400 or $500 on hand cleaning stations for the WACO event. So they are covering their bases, doing what they can do to help everybody stay safe. And I know this is, it is, but it shouldn't be like a political discussion. But ultimately, everybody's doing what they can do just to be smart. We don't need, there's no panic involved. It's just everybody kind of doing their thing. I saw Holly Finley today post on, I believe it was her Twitter, saying, thanks guys, you'll be getting finger guns and elbows and stuff like that.
No more high fives.
which somebody joked about, because when you cough,
you're told to cough into your elbow,
and then everyone's going to be doing so. Maybe not even do elbows, just maybe kind of fake high fives for the next couple weeks.
I don't care what they say. I'm still going in for those big hugs. Those don't sound contagious at all. Okay, maybe not. We'll see.
And the PDGA has released some information about what they're keeping an eye on it for some of our bigger events, Worlds, GBO, stuff like that. As of right now, nothing's canceled, nothing's been put off in the disc golf world, from what I understand. But they are monitoring the situation just in case things get worse. So at this point, we are all systems go, and just be smart. And as everyone says, wash your damn hands.
Seth Muncie, Disc Golf Strong, had posted today that he was traveling. Now, he made a different mistake. He admitted this to me in Vegas. He said he was looking at his itinerary for this event, and he was confirming it and checking out a few things, and noticed that, he was traveling from the 10th through the 15th or whatever it was. The dates were that he had. But then it said 5/10 through 5/15, and he had actually accidentally booked himself in May as opposed to March. So different problem that he had than I did with regarding the dates. But he was posting about how he felt like his flight was about half full or
very empty.
Very empty today, and that he felt everyone was it was absolutely quiet. There wasn't any coughing or sneezing or anything of that nature on his flight. And he said maybe it was one of the healthiest flights that he's ever been in, that or the airport, because no one wants to be that guy. And I gotta say, I recently was a little bit sick, and I think it had a lot to do with long work days, long play days, long hours in a lot of different climates. Being
you travel in an airplane,
airplanes, but Thailand, Taiwan, just being in all of these different in Thailand, it can be crazy humidity, and then you're running for air conditioning. Like, all of these different factors, along with being incredibly active and having a lot of fun, naturally wore me down. Then you go to Vegas, then you go to the Memorial. I was feeling under the weather, as most of you know. If I had to travel on a plane while I'm doing that, yeah, it sucks, and I'm sorry that if it sucks a little bit for you. I don't have coronavirus, and you can't expect everyone to be 100% healthy 100% of the time. And just because someone does cough or sniffle or sneeze doesn't mean they're infected with this deadly disease or virus, okay, people? Like, simmer down. Some people just are a little under the weather, okay? Luke out in I don't know if you're still in Thailand or not, probably some part of there, saying it's 105 there today.
That's hot.
That does not sound pleasant. And Ray says that my hugs are immune from spreading disease. I agree with that. All right. And I do another clarification. Someone on the board did mention the gym that I was referencing, the other gentleman that had passed away, someone had said was the owner of the Mansion disc golf course in Colorado. So I know Kona Panis had made a post saying that it was a great visit when she was there, I think a couple of years ago. So again, another beloved disc golf promoter and enthusiast, unfortunately, has passed on. So
now on to some way less controversial news.
Oh, yeah.
The lead card
was stock market. No?
Easy. A friend of mine talked to me today. He's like, I just lost $250,000. And I'm like, the fact that you had that much to lose, I don't feel that sorry for you.
Yeah.
But
Suck it.
It'll come back.
Exactly.
The way less controversial news is that the lead card was announced for WACO.
Feature cards.
Feature card. Not the lead card. No one's in the lead yet, even though Paul Macbeth's on the card, so I just consider it a lead card. Like, come on. I've already walked into that tournament thinking Paul Macbeth is going to win. So
ouch.
Sorry, MPO players. No, Paul Macbeth is on the card, winner of last year.
Or last year's winner.
Winner of last year. He won last year too, Terry. He won the entire freaking year last year. So I can say it however I want.
Okay.
Drew Gibson.
Sure.
Kale LaVisca.
Yep. That beauty.
Brody Smith. Brody Smith is on the lead card. Yes, you heard that
card.
Right.
Damn it.
I can't not say lead card. Is on the featured card. And let me tell you,
everybody's happy.
Everybody couldn't be happier. Everybody thinks he's earned his way there. He deserves to be there. There's no questions about it. Nobody is upset that this is going to be the live featured card and not covered by a post-production group. Everybody is so content. It is roses and rainbows on the internet.
As it always is. That is so good to hear. Well, I did just recently hear something back from, I'll go right to one of our sources in Ryan Draper, tournament director for this weekend. And I hope he doesn't mind me paraphrasing / quoting him, where he says, "We've had a lot of respect for all of our players in the tournament. We've always been diligent to create feature cards that are compelling to watch and feature skilled players, as well as honor some of our local Texas talent by including a few of them each year. Brody just makes sense. We would be foolish not to include him, given the opportunity for views that he creates, and this being his first big event."
And
I got to agree with all that.
100%. Couple other things. Yes, 100%. This is a business decision on why he's on this card. It will draw eyeballs to the Disc Golf Network. Period. That's why he is on the card. Everybody wants to see him. He is arguably the biggest story in disc golf in the past 6 months. Maybe even 3 months only. I don't know. Everything starts to blur together. And I think that there if you go online, there are some people that feel like this card 100% should be available to watch to everybody. That people are making grave mistakes, that they are basically ending disc golf. I mean, by not having it available in a post-production environment. So if you want to go that far with it, bravo to you. If you want, just subscribe to the Disc Golf Network and then you won't have a problem watching it. That's what I'll say. And based on the numbers I've seen from the subscribers over the last 24 hours, I'm going to say they made the right decision. So
it's funny that we're in a world right now that the number one complaint in disc golf interneting today is I don't get to see someone live, or I don't get to see them in post, or I don't get to see it in post quick enough, or I have to pay to watch live disc golf. Like, it's to me, it's somewhat of a growing pain, clearly, or just the evolution of where we are in disc golf, that we have these things to complain about. Like, really? It also brings to light a little bit. I was tagged in a photo today that had Crazy John Brooks, Dave Greenwell, Rebecca Duffy, and myself, and it was from March of 2011. One of the earlier years,
the Memorial,
one of the earlier years of ever having live disc golf. Now, I know it was done before that technically, but I'm just saying that was in the very, very early stages of live disc golf. And I think about where our sport and the media coverage as a whole has come, and then I think about, man, we're fortunate that we have these things to even be complaining about today. It's incredible.
I find it really funny, as Jim Toes says, first world problems. There is a small portion of people that don't feel like he should even be on a featured card.
Well, sure.
Because he hasn't earned it, that maybe he's taking away a space from a player who, I'm just going to, because he was on, like an Eric Oakley, who could maybe benefit more from the exposure. of being on a featured card. So there's that angle to it. There's the angle of, well, of course he should be on the featured card because he's going to bring in eyeballs. There, obviously, as we talked about earlier, there's the discussion of, is it going to be bad if Brody comes out and lays an egg? If he comes out and shoots 26 strokes worse than Paul McBeth on that course, which is a realistic.
Sure.
Paul could shoot a 16 down and Brody could shoot a 10 over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that bad for disc golf that we're showing that on our live broadcast? We've had amateur players on lead cards before. Maple Hill at the time.
The previous weekend's champion.
He came on and laid an egg. And it was just, he's a good player, but the pressure can get to you. And I don't know if that's going to happen to Brody. He seems to be pretty comfortable in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
You know, take that for what it is. But there are so many different ways to skin this and look at it. I just think that it's really funny that everybody has an opinion on how the Disc Golf Network and the Disc Golf Pro Tour should be run. Yet most of those same people are the ones that are telling us like that they're absolutely not going to watch 4 hours of disc golf, a live round.
I think one of the most interesting counterpoints to the discussion today that I saw, and someone said it here, and I'm clearly not original in repeating this, that if they would have done what is commonly done or has been done in the past throughout the last few years and had a fan vote for putting someone onto a feature card, you know, having a champion, a previous champion is common, and then having, you know, maybe a sponsor
which
person.
is what Kale is.
Kale could be, exactly. And then they leave 1 or 2 spots up to fan vote. Guess what? There's a really good chance that he rallies some of his 2-point-some million subscribers, and there's a really good chance he wins on via the fan vote anyway.
Yeah.
So, people, it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be okay. And if it's not going to be okay for anyone, I would say that, because I'm going to have to awkwardly report on what's going on if it's not going well.
Like, I'm sorry, Jamie Thomas. I'm sorry, Nate Doss. If you have to sit and watch Terry stumble through some sideline reporting as he tries to get the inside scoop on Brody, for better or worse.
Yeah. Now, the other conversation, as some people are asking, is, well, is he going to get advice from Paul or whatever? Maybe. I mean, he's a grown man. 2, he's an athlete. And 3, it's not like some players, you'd be dead wrong if you could say, well, so-and-so, Eric Oakley, watch so-and-so, Chris Clemens, throw this disc on the tee. And then when Eric threw three people later, because he wasn't on the top of the tee box, in this case, he changed up his disc and he threw a different felon. Like, he was going to throw one felon. He saw what happened to Chris's disc in the wind, and he threw a different felon. Like, if you don't think these players either talk or get reads off one another already, I don't know what you're watching either, because that naturally happens. I can't imagine Brody's going to be on Paul's back. Hey, Paul, what should I throw here? I don't think that's going to, I don't know. Let me just say this. I don't know how all of you people lost your damn minds today. Like, of something that feels so not earth-shattering.
I think the question,
and people are just losing their mind.
More so is, I mean, yeah, they're going to talk. They're teammates. They're friends. They're going to discuss, probably even before they come up to a hole, they walk up to the tee pad, and maybe they're going to discuss, like, oh, you know, Paul's going to throw a Zeus here. Brody, maybe the Zeus isn't the right disc for you. Maybe Paul says, you might want to club down to a Avenger.
Or they're just simply looking at one another and like, oh, you're throwing that? Yeah, I'm thinking about throwing that.
They know each other. But I think the bigger question maybe is, not so much from Brody's side, on Paul's side, is this going to be distraction for Paul? I don't think so, personally. I think, again, they're grown men. They're adults. They both know competition very well, so they know how to act. They know the proper etiquette and procedure. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited. I think that our cameramen are going to be, I'm going to direct them a little bit more maybe to try and get more of that interaction for that first round. And we're going to try to pick a lot of that up. So that's one of these, this is one of those cues that hopefully we can take from from the card. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's a dead silent card. Like I said, maybe Brody tanks it and no one wants to talk to him while he's, just sitting there contemplating what he's doing. I'm excited to see it personally, regardless of how it turns out. But it's
let me just tell you guys what's not going to happen.
Oh, there's a lot of things that aren't going to happen.
Brody Smith isn't going to be Happy Gilmore and riding the bull or doing anything else silly or strangling his caddy at any point. Like, none of that's going to happen. Like, things are going to be just fine, people. Like,
just like we
the
said
damn
about
bull happy.
Just like we said about the coronavirus. Don't panic.
Yes.
Take the appropriate measures, but don't panic.
Oh, goodness. All right.
I mean, if Brody shows up to the course with a whole bunch of toilet paper, I'm going to be curious.
And hand sanitizer. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's pretty funny how everyone, not everyone, clearly, some of you are pretty level-headed. And if you're not, and we're just grinding a gear as you're listening, that's fine too. But simmer down. That's what I'll say. Yes, people do love drama and panic and all of those things, but
gets your heart going, man.
I am excited. I'm excited to see the FPO side of things as well. This is another weekend of, I'll say, the strategy and the attempt that we saw and executed and had at the Memorial, a new version of how coverage was presented with FPO and MPO, or MPO then FPO, I should say. We're up for another go of that, and we'll see. This course is going to play a little different time-wise, where the women are at, as opposed to what we saw on the Memorial side, where sometimes the women were as far back as hole 6, and where things are going to get spaced out, and where we'll see the women. I didn't look at the field. I apologize. I don't know how the number of women competitors stacks up or compares from one weekend to the next, but there's going to be a lot more trees, and I think things are going to move much slower. I think that's one thing if you want to buckle up or get pre-worked up about anything, just know the pace and the play is going to go a little bit slower this weekend. There's just more obstacles, so if you want to get worked up about that, buckle in for that. But hopefully things move along swiftly for us. Do you know what time the broadcast starts? I'm going to guess.
I thought I saw tee off was 2:10 Central.
Okay. I honestly, I don't know off the top
I believe
of my head.
that is what the graphic had put of the lead MPO card. I saw there was a featured MPO card. I saw there was a featured FPO card. I didn't see if they put a time on there as well, but I'm fairly certain I saw the featured MPO card. Coverage is going to start like 20 minutes before that, I believe.
Okay.
And then lead featured card is going to be at 2:10 Central.
Okay. I'll go with that. You know more than I do. 27 FPO is what Patrick is telling me. I appreciate that.
It'll be out there. Don't worry. I'll make sure of it.
Yes, and of course, subscribe, tune in, all that stuff. Disc Golf Network will have all the details.
Yep. So just so everyone's clear this week, Disc Golf Network, the final round will be free on YouTube. The other 2 rounds will be on the Disc Golf Network for live. Post-production, first round, Joe Mez will be covering a different featured card than what the live is covering, so we can spread out the love and show more players. Second and third round, Joe Mez will be covering lead card with the same coverage as live, the same card as live that you'll get next day, as you always do with the Joe Mez coverage. So if you are absolutely against signing up for the Disc Golf Network, I can't help you in general, but you will have that final day where you can view on YouTube. So we'll see. That's all I got. That's all I got today, Terry. Done.
Okay. Well, excited, and then, like we said, I'll be interested, and I know I've kind of harped on it a couple times tonight, to see where our players, I hate to say the word split, but we talked to Calvin last week, and he talked about whether or not it'll make sense for him to go back to Florida. I see someone like a Floridian, Johnny McRae, on a plane, flying to this event to play this weekend. So that should be great to see. But I'd be willing to bet that when the rest of the tour or the the Florida swing takes place, that we'll find him in Florida as opposed to Texas. Of course, that would just make more sense. But that's what I'm really getting at here is it'll be interesting to see who goes where and maybe what the logic is to that. The one other piece, and I can get a little confirmation here, the other piece of, we'll say, hype that surrounded the Brody conversation today was some people were saying, well, was the tournament full? He wasn't on a waiting list, or was he? Did the Pro Tour have a spot saved, and he didn't have a rating at one point if he reached out earlier, so on and so forth. And I was told by the TD, Ryan Draper, that there was a Disc Golf Pro Tour player reservation on the list. And so this fitting that spot, so to speak.
My understanding was that he tried to register a couple months ago, but because he didn't have a PDGA number at all or a rating, he couldn't. So he clearly went and played a rated league, got his 923 or something rating, and then was able to qualify to play in WACO. Had he not had his rating been under that for whatever reason, I'm sure that would have gone to whoever was next on the waiting list. But ultimately, it had been planned for a while. We knew when we first talked to Brody that he had said WACO was one of the ones he was interested in. So that is the big non-story there as well.
Okay. All right. Do we have anything else that we're concerned about covering here in the regular Disc Golf Show podcast thing?
Featured show.
Featured, non-featured, featured lead card, lead show.
This is
our lead show. Is this our featured show?
This is our lead show, not the featured show.
Featured
show was last week.
Also, as alluded to earlier by Paige Pierce herself, and as we kind of talked about, the PDGA ratings came out. If that's something you're excited about because your rating might have went up, great. If not, we don't need to talk about it.
Paul hit 1061.
Oh, okay.
So he's again the new highest rated MPO player, and I mean, get new discs again.
Sure. But the PDGA ratings are out. We want to thank for the PDGA, as that's become obviously more and more frequent, and it ramps up a little bit during the, so to speak, main on-season component. And I fully apologize, although I didn't do it to her directly. I apologize to Paige Pierce that as I was interviewing her and closed out on her very impressive third round at the Memorial, I was, in fact, talking with a previous PDGA consultant and ratings consultant, Chuck Kennedy, and while I was on 18, I had said to him, assuming she pars this, will this go down as one of the best rounds ever? He ran some numbers, this and that, and he's like, yeah, it looks like it will. And so when I interviewed Paige immediately following the round, we talked about it being one of the best round ever, arguably. And what I didn't know is, nor did Chuck Kennedy, that because the rest of the lead card shot so well also, that when their numbers got inputted with hers, it actually, everything dropped by a few points. So I had the information that it was going to be once it got inputted, minutes later, but yet while I was in the middle of the tournament or the interview, it was incorrect. So I apologize is what I'm really trying to say there. Nonetheless, I think she did pretty good.
Yeah, adequate.
Adequate. She's good.
Let's wrap this up.
We'll wrap this up. We can talk about
show.
some other random stuff as I'm looking at the chat board. You guys sometimes have good stuff. Sometimes it's not good, but looks like we got it. So I want to thank Paige Pierce for joining us, along with Tina Oakley and Eric Oakley, our surprise guest visits there in the Paige Pierce van. I want to thank the Disc Golf Pro Tour ahead of time for our trip over to WACO this weekend. Very much looking forward to it. And thanks to Dynamite for giving us a little bit of insight and recap on what happened this last weekend. This has been podcast episode 288 for Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We'll see you guys in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 288.
After show. You didn't even join me there.
No.
Oh, I'll
let you take it.
I feel left out.
Let you take the lead on that.
Oh, well, thanks.
Here we are in the lead feature show podcast, whatever it's called. We're in the after show. Thank you guys for joining us here Tuesday night. Still March 10th, actually. We're not quite into that new midnight hour here in the Central Time Zone. However, as much as I feel like the petition is probably going around somewhere, we did experience some daylight savings over the weekend, and my question is...
Daylight saving.
It's not daylight savings. Daylight
So.
saving? I guess saving makes more time.
Daylight saving time.
But so my question
before we
is...
get all the emails complaining.
Yes. My question is it antiquated enough that we can get rid of that?
Yes.
Farmer John?
I believe so.
And how many more years? Because I told my daughters...
It'll be here probably forever. Could we get rid of it? Yes. If I were elected president, it would be right on
is that a presidential...
I'm old enough.
Motion?
But no.
No. Is that a presidential motion?
I think it could.
Okay.
Yeah, I bet you the president could make that happen. I don't know. But I think that, I mean, there are a lot of things tied with it, with electronics and stuff like that that would have to be updated, firmware, hardware, whatever.
We made it past Y2K.
We did.
And I think this feels easier.
I think it would. I think it should happen. I think it should go away. I don't believe that there's really much of a reason. I'm sure you could probably dig around and find still a reason for it, but I think it can go away at this point.
And you don't think it'll go away in our lifetime?
I don't.
Wow. I think you're wrong.
Well,
somebody place a wager, put it in an envelope.
20 years. I don't think we'll see it in the next 20 years. I don't think we'll see it.
I forget exactly
and that is your lifetime.
I forget exactly what I told my 11-year-old, but when we were talking about it the other day, I said it will go away in her lifetime. Now, clearly that's more than 20 years, but I think it will go away. And maybe somebody out there can give me some valid arguments as to why we still need it, but it seems like in this day and age, we can get rid of it. It does not seem necessary.
The other thing we should probably look at. Let's get rid of time zones.
No.
Let's just.
What?
Here's what I'll say. Not necessarily time zones. We need to adjust the time that we're using. Everybody, get rid of daylight saving time. It's hard not to say. And everybody go with GMT. Just just
plus or minus, so to speak.
Yes. Like if it's it's a pain in the butt.
We're -6 here, right?
We are -6 here. It is, annoying it is when you're particularly the beginning of the year in Phoenix, when sometimes they flip-flop
they never change.
Or they never
it's
change.
Us.
And it just get rid of all of that. And I want one time. It would make things way easier for the world.
Well, and this all comes for me as part of, not only did we spring ahead here in
There's
Wisconsin.
no reason that 8 a.m. can't be dark.
Sure. Well, to me, this all comes because this weekend I had done commentary with Nick Newton being in Tucson, Arizona. And when we parted ways on Saturday, we said, all right, let's plan on noon tomorrow. And I was thinking from his perspective, noon his time is probably 1 p.m. my time, which I was totally good with. Of course, the next morning when I did wake up and looked, I literally had to Google it. I said, what time is it in Tucson, to find out that they stayed with their current time and we sprung ahead. So what was 1 hour difference now then became 2 hours with him specifically. And that's why I was a little bit more in tune with what was going on this weekend. And just in general, this isn't just my inconvenience. I just don't understand why we still need it.
With electricity and everybody having lights all the time and alarm clocks, we really don't. I don't believe we need it anymore. But again, I'm sure someone.
Patrick, I'm reading a few comments off the board. Patrick says, we voted in Cali, but our politicians haven't acted. Wes is saying it's a war on time. I'm not sure I'm quite going that far. Ryan says, I like daylight saving. I want the sun to be out in the evening all summer, or just make daylight saving time permanent year-round. I mean, the other thing you can do, depending on how much sunlight you like, when I've been to places like Finland or Norway or Alaska, and it's bright for 22 hours out of the day, clearly not all year, though. Maybe that's a solution for you.
Andy on the board says the biggest deterrent is parents sending their kids to school in the dark in the morning. So when your kid goes off to school at, like, my kids are out the door by 7:15.
Okay.
It would be pretty gosh darn dark.
Okay. That sounds like one valid argument.
That's a very valid argument.
Now, clearly very different, and if we're really getting into time zones, which, I feel like we're on the Big Bang Theory talking flags as we're talking time zones
Talking
here.
time zones.
But someone who's right near a border, and I think of people like in Indiana, or I think of you're on the very west coast of Michigan, and your daylight is very similar to what we have here in Wisconsin, but they're in a totally different time zone. So I can see how that can all fluctuate as well. But yeah, okay, all right. I'll be the first to admit that's one sound discussion or argument that could be had there.
Cool. We've solved it. Done and done. No more to talk about.
Yes, but the children argument is used for everything in this country, though. Those darn pesky kids. Those 8 and 10-year-olds that we can't.
Terry, do you know what we're giving away tonight?
I have been blessed. Well, I see something next to me. I don't know if this is from last week or for next week.
It could be. It could be for this week.
It could be either or. You tell me.
I was going to do it this week.
Okay, then let's do that. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I've got some great goodies. But if you want to give away what looks to be a disc member box,
it is.
Man, how could they get their very own disc member box, assuming they don't win one here on SmashBoxx?
Well, even if they win one.
Oh, they could still get one?
They can still subscribe to Disc Member. If you go to discmember.com, Disc Member, thankfully, thank you for the support, Disc Member. They send us a box. We turn around, don't even open it. I don't sniff it. I don't lick it. I don't do anything. I turn around, hand it to Terry. He ships it off to our winner. If you want to be eligible to be a winner every week, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. For as little as $1 a week, you can be eligible to do that. Or every week, if you want to take the time, you can go to smashboxx.tv/weekly giveaways. It's one of those two. I always forget. And just get that. Put your name on there. I'll add you to the list of the weekly drawing, and we'll make sure that gets on there. But again, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. And we heard Paige plug her Patreon. We have one as well. Help us. Help you.
Jerry Maguire style.
Think of the children. Think of our children.
Yeah, they need
do it for the kids.
They need special bubbles built around them for when they're about to get on the buses in the morning or go to their schools, and that's how we build those bubbles.
Thankfully, my children glow in the dark. I have no worries about that. They're much like me, not a lot of pigment, so my kids are safe. But Terry's children.
No, I don't know. You might be getting into a vitiligo world there. One of my children is missing some pigment as well.
I know.
You big jerk. You're making
up.
fun of my handicap. Oh my daughter's gonna kick your ass. My oldest
I'm not scared
child,
of that one. I'd be scared of the younger one.
You should be. Yeah, my oldest child, Allison, has vitiligo, which I'll be the first to admit is something that I did not know what it was prior to her having it. And if you're, I'd say you're familiar with it. If you have any recollection of someone like Michael Jackson or Sammy Sosa, two of the more, I would say, two higher profile people that have had some form of vitiligo or loss of pigment, and that's exactly what my daughter has. And hers is actually very aggressive. It's not anymore, but I feel like it's already done its thing. And in the summertime when she's tan, she very much has spots or large blotches of areas of her skin that it's just not I'll say a normal color, so to speak, and it's very white. And she owns it. and I love it. She's
and it was too late to return her at that point.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you will see her. I guarantee it. If you haven't already, you will see her working a camera or microphone.
No, she'll be in front of the camera.
or in front of a camera reporting. She has been very comfortable. Apparently, she has learned a few of the confidence. She's taken a few confidence blocks off of me as well. So she's good with it, which I'm very happy for. Anyway, let's give away this box, Johnny. And while you're doing that, I'm going to make also a plug for giveaways of all things. For a long time now, I've been giving away discs or items as part of my post-production coverage. Almost every video for the last year or so or more, I've been giving away at least a disc, sometimes more than one. And usually you have to make some kind of comment, whether it's your favorite basket or your least favorite hole or whatever it is. And I will continue to do that. I love doing it, even if I have to bribe you people, because free disc golf's not enough. Now I got to bribe you with free stuff, but I'm glad to do so. And I'm just trying to get more diligent about putting it out there more often, because I do it and I give it away, but sometimes people don't realize they've won, or they take forever to get back to me or whatever. So I posted my first ever YouTube story on my Disc Golf Guy page tonight, and it basically is going to act as a little bit of a diary of, hey, here's, the Asia Open round 2 coverage. The front 9 and the back 9 each had a winner. Here's their usernames. And I think somebody on our board tonight, Ben, I think I saw the name. I'm like, Ben, I think you won on one of my things. So I'm going to try and post it there. I'll post it in the Instagram stories. Of course, Smashbox has a slightly different way of doing the giveaways, and we're usually already have your information, so it's not as big of a problem. But people, if you win something, make sure you're reaching out so that I can get it out to you ASAP. So I appreciate it.
Jim Toes says the disc member box, the Rift, this month is on fire.
What? I think it just is fire.
This fire is on fire.
Oh, okay.
I mean, either one. It's the Rift. It's a great disc. Well, we have 201 people eligible for our giveaway this particular weeknight. Terry, give me a number between 1 and 1.
Okay, let's go with
give me
3.
3. The number 3. All right, so it's going to be our third pick. Ready?
Third pick on random.org.
It's sorted by first name this time.
First name.
115, 168, and 110.
110. So, let me guess. This should be part of our game. You've sorted by first name. 110. That's roughly halfway. I mean, if you're talking last names, that would be the M's. If you're talking first names, though, yeesh. It's so tough. I'm going to guess the first name starts with, I'm going to just say M.
You'd be wrong. Lyle Ross.
Oh, not bad. Not all.
I mean,
Lyle.
Congratulations, Lyle. It's been a while since I've heard your name. I think it's been quite a few months, actually. So congratulations to Lyle. We will get him his disc. He is a supporter at the $5 level here with Patreon. So, yeah, we'll be getting that to him. And maybe if you're lucky, that box will come with a signed Patreon disc.
Ooh.
Terry has our box here, Patreon discs, and I was going to make it a point this week to make sure to get my signatures on them, and I didn't do that. So this week the delay is on me. I will get that taken care of this week, and then hand the box off to Terry next week, and we'll get those shipped out.
I was thinking back. We appreciate it, of course. One of our previous winners who was so gracious, wow. I don't know if it's Christmas and birthday all wrapped into one, but he had one, and it ultimately was a Saint Pro with my Disc Golf Guy or Tear Bear stamp on it, a SmashBoxxTV microfiber towel, and your 1990s sunglasses.
Oh, he got the sunglasses.
He got the Nike sunglasses.
Lucky him.
He made a post. I don't know if it was on Facebook.
That.
It might be on our page.
I'm going to have to take a look.
You should take a look out there, but he said it was well worth the wait. There was a little communication. JT, I believe, is the name. And Wow. He said he will definitely be sporting those late 1990s Nike knockoff sunglasses.
Hot. Talk about fire right there.
Yeah. Truly incredible. So we love it if you do get the Patreon giveaway or any other giveaways, of course, take a picture, put it on Instagram or Facebook or tag us or whatever. Let everybody know that they too could maybe win something as stellar as some late 1990s knockoff Nike sunglasses. Maybe not. Not everybody can be so lucky. We do have Ryan Draper, the TD of this weekend's event, out on the board. I think I've paraphrased a few of the answers that people were asking questions to. I don't know if somebody has a specific question for him or not, but I see he is out on our board, and I know he's got a very, very long week of a lot of hard work in front of him. But if there's something you want to know or hear about right away, please put it in the YouTube comments or the chat board so that we can ask it of him directly. My only question would be of Ryan, if he's out there listening, is are we going to see the bridge party? Is that still a fixture this year? I did not attend last year, the event. I was not part of the Pro Tour live broadcast, nor was Johnny actually, but I know the bridge party has kind of always been a staple of this event for the last few years, so I'm hoping that it will be taking place again this Saturday. Oh, and speaking of bridges or rivers, there was a little criticism. I'm not sure that it was fair or not. You can be the judge of it yourself. But
I will be.
Adam Hammis yesterday had posted that it's one of the most beautiful scenic areas of being at this course. Is the course kind of initially plays along a river, and if you go to the other side of the river, there's a tall cliff-like structure area. And Adam Hammis had thrown from that side of the river, literally all the way across the river, which is a sizable river, and was putting it, as I think he said, in the circle on the green of one of the baskets that he was throwing to. And it's this beautiful shot, and it's very impressive, so much effort and skill and talent. The one criticism that came in was literally in frame of his Instagram post is a sign that's clear as day that says, "Don't throw objects from the cliff." Now, maybe they mean rocks or bodies, but
wow, that accelerated.
I don't know. But unfortunately, Adam was throwing a disc. Now, he cleared it. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't specify. Don't throw things in the river, or only throw things if you're going to clear the river. But I understand some of the criticism that came in on some of his feed or other feeds when people were talking about it. Again, I'd say this. I'm not condoning any one way or another. If he would just have moved out of frame of the sign that clearly states he's breaking the ordinance, like that would have probably went. It would have gone unnoticed at least, unless you're a local. So. Adam, if you're going to break the law,
do it smart.
Yeah, be a little more low-key about it. All right. I asked if anyone had... Yes, Ryan says the bridge party. Okay, sounds like that's going to be a thing again, at least by Ryan's response.
Patrick Paramore asked, what did Smashbox think of the first Disc Golf Pro Tour production? I thought we did a great job, honestly.
Wow.
I thought it was really good. I think we talked a lot about it last week, and I just think that there's a few things we can clean up on, some transitions, and just a little bit here and there. But overall, I thought the broadcast went very smoothly.
I think it needs work, but it did go pretty smooth. What some people are asking how to get the discount. Wes, Warren, and others are asking how to get the discount.
The DGN?
For Disc Golf Network.
First, I believe you need to go to the web page. I don't believe you can do the discount through the app. So make sure to go to the discgolfnetwork.com and look on there. And I believe you need to, there's a link at the bottom for the PDGA. I didn't do it myself, but I will take a look.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
need to get in on that myself. I know Jeff Spring kind of walked me through the process, and then we got sidetracked or something, but I need to get on there myself. So I can more eloquently answer some of these questions.
At the very bottom of the discgolfnetwork.com, there's a big blue link that says, PDGA members, click here to generate your discount code.
Yes.
Discount double check. I double checked. that's where you get the code. So please make sure to sign up through there. I would say in general, don't sign up through the app. I mean, you can, but we prefer to sign up through the website for a few reasons. I think it's just easier. The app, I think, might even take a slight cut of the thing because it's an app based. I don't even know if you can sign up. I don't know. Either way, the website is the best place to do it.
All right, I'm reading through. Someone says, put in your PDJ number and email, and it sends you a discount code. Also says, don't throw off the cliff. Camping situation is a major plus for WACO, just like Beaver State. I agree. It's absolutely, I think to Beaver State specifically, too, it's just absolutely gorgeous camping there in one of those beautiful state parks. And the pros do love camping together. It does have a very community-like feel when you see it. And they've done such a great job with the branding. Mm-hmm. And you see a Rebecca Cox, van or RV, and a Sarah Holcomb and Paiges and Nate Perkins, Disc Mania, Ricky Wysocki's, see an Innova trailer, all these different things. I love it. It gives us more and more of a professional feeling. Yes, our main competitors and players are, so to speak, traveling around the country in vans, but they're all stepping up their van life. They're making it a lifestyle. They have a very professional feeling and approach to it. And I've heard people say that feels somewhat like we see from, clearly not the scale of NASCAR, but the NASCAR teams that travel, and the kind of caravan approach they have, or a lot of our professional bowlers, I think, from more so back in the day, that would very much travel in similar ways, maybe not even quite as fancy when they were doing it back in those days. So it feels cool to have all these wrapped vehicles. They're giving a presentation in themselves,
mm-hmm.
And I think it looks great. So Blue Boy says, Terry, I'm not sure if it was mentioned. We did talk about that, unfortunately, about Matt Orum's father passing away. Cody says that Infinite Disc is giving 10% off every time Gibson finishes top 3 in 2020.
Ooh.
Wow. There's a quick plug for Infinite Discs.
I'll give you another plug for Infinite Discs that every week on skipace.com, the biggest fantasy disc golf website in the nation.
Yep.
Shut your mouth over there. That they do, and they provide weekly winners, the top 3, with gift certificates, a $15, a $10, and a $5 gift certificate. So if you want to join skipace.com, you can do that tomorrow at noon, my time, daylight non-savings time.
Yeah, exactly. GMT -6.
GMT. Actually, I think we're -5 right now. Is what somebody said.
Darn it! Are we?
Yeah, because we're moved. But the next big rollout for Skip Ace is coming, and there's a couple little bug fixes that we found. It's going to be a little bit speedier, and it will have the new Skip Ace, like the Skip Ace points that you'll be able to wager, and everyone's going to get X amount of points I'm going to hand out, and I'll make a post. You'll probably see something in your email about it. If you're already signed up for email, for the email reminders, you will get something probably the next day or two, but that should literally get pushed out tomorrow at noon. I reviewed it today, and everything looked really good, so I'm excited for that. You'll be able to kind of wager points that I'm going to give you to start out with, and if you need more points, you can come buy them from us.
We are seeing Ryan Draper says, okay, I need to go to bed so I can wake up early and call the park rangers on Adam Hammes. Hey,
now if
I didn't post it to Instagram. This isn't me, and it wasn't even me that made the initial notice. But as soon as someone pointed it out, I'm like, oh, yeah, the sign is right there in frame.
If you could get someone to dress up like a ranger,
yeah,
that would be pretty great.
And just go scare them. That would be pretty funny. We appreciate it, Ryan. Have a good night. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow as I get into town. Skip Ace needs an API with UDisc so y'all can do points scoring based on C2 putts, greens in regulation, etc.
That is probably something that we're going to address a little bit later this year. That type of scoring, I'm thinking, will probably happen next year. But I do want to work with the boys over at UDisc to get integrated scoring, because what I'd like to do is have live scoring happen. Now with the PDGA, you can't do that because they don't actually update their stuff live like UDisc does. So for these bigger events that are on UDisc, I would love to dig in and hopefully be able to pull those stats live so you can log into the site and literally watch your points go hopefully up, maybe down as the event goes on. But I need to work with UDisc. They are extremely talented but very busy guys. So it is on the feature page, and I've invested quite a few $1,000s in Skip Ace this year, and between me and my developer, and I am in no hurry to invest a few thousand more, which I'm sure is what it will cost. So, but it is on the books, I promise.
Sound like a baby.
Oh, a little bit. I'm just really glad the site is just continuing to work, and I am not in charge of programming it anymore because I would screw it up.
Yeah.
True story.
All right. Yes, Ryan, have a good night. Appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow when I get down there. So the wager on the points, will you be able to put them on the line for WACO? All right.
Yeah, so assuming this rolls out tomorrow, I believe everyone's going to get 20 points. I'm going to create an event that's going to cost like 5 of your points to play, and it's going to be a winner take all. So if 100 people play and you win, you're going to get 500 points.
Wait, how's that math work?
Yeah, that's how it works, Terry. And if 3 people sign up, you'll get 15 points. The winner will. That's the way it's going to work. Right now, it's going to be a winner take all system, just because there's a lot of math and figuring stuff out when you start figuring out, let's pay out the top 12% or 15 or 30%, and then figure out how much everyone should get based on how it gets a little bit more goofy with the numbers. Another future feature update, but for now, it's just going to be a winner take all type of thing. And I do plan on having kind of weekly free leagues where you can win points. So it won't cost you anything to play, but the winner will get like 20 or 50 points or something. But for now, we're just going to kind of start real basic.
I'll segue and piggyback on that a little and say what would be really smart for me, big disclaimer here, is if any event that I specifically am covering in a post-production format, if I then tied more closely into Skip Ace, and I feel like there would be some great cross promotion in that way. And I'm saying that as you were blathering on about something.
You could have you could have a specific Terry Miller post-production league.
Yeah, and I say that because just a few moments ago, someone had asked about Maricopa, and Maricopa had just released. Here's the easy plug that I was just really leading into. But no,
I see where this is going.
I had just released Maricopa, and then thinking about that, another form of engagement and free giveaway and all that stuff that could go hand in hand. When I am specifically at an event, typically I'm obviously even more invested in that event, and I know what's going on with it, and that might be something that could be fun for someone like myself or an assistant to help set up, to have a Skip Ace league that is definitely just based on post-production events that I'm covering.
Because you
like
can
that idea
you can do custom leagues and pull in any league that the PDGA sanctions. It's all there, and get all that figured out. Last night I walked Tyler Brickley through how to use Skip Ace on his feed. Him and I got together last night and played a little Disc Golf Valley, and then talked. And then after we were done streaming, talked for another hour, and I got his computer all set up so he can do audio through the calling through vMix Call and his computer at the same time. It was just some Windows stuff that we had to work out. But ultimately, him and I kind of worked through that a little bit last night, just in time for an update for tomorrow.
Following up on the Maricopa, because there was a question directly, was someone said, why did AB withdraw? And I guess maybe I posted about it as opposed to talking about it during the coverage. AB was active with college life that weekend, and so he did not have a stellar opening round, as some of you may have seen. And then on Sunday, I heard that he maybe had some things that carried over late from Saturday night. So that's why Anthony Barella did not complete the Maricopa Open.
I'm going to say good for him.
I'm passing no judgment here. I'm just passing on the facts.
That's living your life.
Yeah, so
that's great.
Some people talked about frat or other things that were maybe related to early season activities or early semester activities. So,
although I am slightly disappointed, Terry.
Yeah,
you and I were well known back in the day. I would say for going out the night of or the night prior to events, regardless of the event, whether it was a national tour, Worlds, a local B tier. It was very common knowledge that we would probably roll into our hotel between 2 to 3 to 4 a.m. And I don't recall us really ever missing the next day because we knew what was important.
Yeah, that
the
was
going
the golf.
out and then also golf. So AB, I'm a little disappointed in that manner. Man, you got to suck it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to fight through that. You got to play. You just got to play. So
now, granted, we were never, 10-19 rated and
no, never
sponsored and to that degree and expected to play as well as AB. But you're right. Sometimes the extracurriculars became the main curriculars. But please go out. I hope you guys do enjoy it. In all honesty, though, the Maricopa coverage. Nick Newton, first time on the mic. I did not realize that until we were wrapping things up. First time doing commentary, and he was a pleasure. I thought he did really well, and we got both rounds 1 and 2, 27 holes of each, all put out. And I sent, a follow-up to one Sarah Holcomb. I think we're going to see some Thailand coverage, finally get some commentary. Sarah Holcomb and I might team up, or unless she has someone she can work with, but we might get that knocked out this weekend. And I know Nate Perkins and Paige Pierce are going to work on some Thailand commentary. So
Excellent.
Everything's edited. Excited to get that all out. And then I don't know if it was this time or not last week, but Jackie Chen news has come out that he's officially been picked up by Innova Champion Dis. I had a interview, kind of just sitting and waiting on it with Sam Ferrens, who kind of give us a little insight into that. But Jackie Chen officially picked up, officially with Innova, and specific talks about seeing him at Ledgestone.
I thought about that, and then I thought maybe not, depending on what happens with with the culture and Corona and these other things. I thought, it's gonna be awesome to see him, and I'm like, wow, that would really kind of suck if something happened. We might have to wait for another year to see him. But at this point, the plans are to have him at Ledgestone, I believe, to play, and I'm excited for that. Let's cross our fingers.
Yeah, it would be great. And again, that whole story about not only just seeing him play and having him win, and then the kind of the follow-up to seeing him getting sponsored, and now I think there's a GoFundMe to try and help him tour around a little bit. I'm sure Innova is going to be in on making some of those things possible. So just what an awesome story all around to have him be part of that. So and William on the board says, me and Jackie are very close in PDGA numbers. I would believe your membership numbers are close. I'm not going to assume those rating numbers are close, but Cody, good to hear from you out there. That's awesome.
One last question before I think we call it a night. Cody out there asks, who's the most underrated disc golfer in your view? Is there, would it be, now, is it underrated, so to speak,
or not well known?
Not well known. Is this like a touring pro kind of or someone who hits a lot of the things, or is this like a local guy who is just like, wow, this guy is
like a dark horse that maybe nobody else knows of? Yeah. Basically like Jackie was the greatest hidden secret that only about 5 people knew about just how great he was. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, some people are out there immediately jumping on saying Matt Bell. Matt
Alex
Bell.
Russell, I think, could be pretty good. He's starting to make a name for himself.
Yeah, he's performed well and won some big events, but still kind of flies under the radar a little bit. That's a tough one to answer without also sounding somewhat insulting, because I'll say someone like a Chandler Fry, who's always been really good, but has only dabbled in full-time tour life. My perspective of underrated or whatever might be different from yours, because I've known Chandler for a really long time and known of his skill set, but somebody else may be like, oh, I've never heard of him until now. So Joe Revere comes, and then some of these people are just really hard to hide. Like Joe Revere shows up to an event and he beats Eagle McMahon. Everyone's like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's just this 40-year-old that is a full-time teacher and whoops everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so underrated. I don't know. I would not say Daniel Reynoso, the UDisc hype man, as Stu Mullenberg is suggesting. Okay, I haven't seen him play enough to know just how good he is. Scott Withers, there's a name that I know we saw on a lead card last year.
Scott Withers, Dan Hastings, that type of name.
Yeah, exactly.
Just your big time local guys who you think, wow, if they went on a tour, they would probably finish top 20 at a majority of their events, but it's not in the books for them.
Andrew Fish, another conversation piece there. Again, some of these players are really good, and we know them. And underrated is a tough definition, I think,
especially when we cover it so closely, like every week in and out.
And your rating's your rating. Like, no, outside of Jackie, again, you're not hiding. If you're 10-20, you're probably not hiding real well. And if you're 940, guess what? You're not really 10-20, in practice. You're probably not. Like, you're just not. Some people may say that. Well,
I'm 10-20 with my.
I don't think my rating just really reflects my play. Oh, really? Because you have 38 tournament rounds on your PDGA report spanning the last 2 years. I think your rating does reflect how you play.
But you shot that 1,000 rating once. You hit 1,000.
Yeah, well, I just don't think it's like a real good. Like, I'm a much better. I hear this a lot. I'm a much better player than my rating. No, you're not.
Clearly,
statistics say otherwise. Oh well, I'm a much better lottery winner if I pick my normal numbers. No, like that's not how that works.
Paul Oman is a great example out there. He I don't know if he's underrated. He's always one of those guys that just shows up and tends to shoot like 1 or 2 really good rounds, and then 1 or 2 just average rounds for him, and it all levels out. So.
Speaking of ratings, they were out today, huh? Ooh.
Oh, are you gonna look at what you're rating?
I'm going to. I didn't look today. Heck wow. Yeah! Look at that.
Terry jumped 15 points.
Holy cow! 1,040. Oh no,
974.
No, I just feel like that's really low. Like I'm a much better than 974. No, I'm not. That is hilarious. Holy cow.
Tristan Tanner is the type of player right now whose rating is probably lower than his skill level because he's suddenly started playing a lot more and traveling more. So it should catch up with him probably in the next 6 months. If not a little sooner, maybe 3 months, you'll see his rating kind of jump up. But he is a value pick in Skip Ace right now, most certainly.
Yeah, and somebody would say he definitely is. He struggled mightily, as did the whole lead card in Maricopa, and someone not so politely said he's rated what? Like he definitely was not of his true caliber when he played that opening round there. So whatever he is rated, I think it's in the 990s right now.
I think he's 991.
Yeah,
he was as of yesterday. I don't know what he.
That definitely would be a
did or didn't
certainly a
to.
good pickup. Yeah, it's funny. I'm down to 7 rounds for my ratings, only having 7 on my actual ratings details. I think I just saw a second ago, which feels. I remember looking at anyone and thinking, man, how can you only have 7 rounds in a year? But that's unfortunately our life. Dude, oh, Masters life. Here I come. Bring it.
That's right. You versus Brody versus Daniel Reynoso, who's apparently also 974.
Oh, yeah, but Daniel plays like every day, and his is legit 974. He's like probably good. All right, guys, we're going to call it. I'm going to call you out first, Daniel. Maybe I'll see you in Waco, maybe I won't. But thank you guys for joining us. Definitely looking forward to the Waco party and experience. And by party, I mean all of the play, all of the people, all of the tournament. Looking forward to that. Chip, Joanna Gaines, my peeps, down there in Waco while we drink Dr. Pepper. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, thank you guys for joining us in the after show. Thank you mostly to our Patreon subscribers. You other subscribers are neat, but the people that pay us, we love even more. Those are the hard facts. Don't get corona. We'll see you guys next week when you step inside the Smash Box.